Chapter 21. Ever since Kaishisama gave Wu Yan benefits, the normal Kaishisama has become abnormal. Why did he say so? That's because Kaishisama used to maintain a very spirited look on her face. Her face was filled with dignity, and from time to time, you could see the flames of anger flashing across her face. Although Wu Yan would sometimes make her laugh, but ever since Wu Yan met Hinajuku, he has never seen Hinajuku blush. This was a normal state. This abnormal state only appeared after Wu Yan took advantage of Kaishisama. Every time she saw Wu Yan, Chuju's face would blush. Even though several days had passed since that day, Chuju still hadn't come out of the shadow of that day. Every time she saw Wu Yan, she would be the first to blush. Moreover, when the two chatted in the past, they were talking and laughing. But now, as long as they chatted, it was basically Wu Yan talking, and Chuju lowered her head and listened to Wu Yan obediently. This made Wu Yan's heart couldn't help but be troubled, because he really couldn't figure out what Chuju was thinking. Countless times Wu Yan pondered in his heart, but the result was only one sentence. A woman's heart don't guess. Just like today after breakfast, the two were ready to go to school. Wu Yan swallowed the last bite, then walked out and saw Chuju standing at the door waiting for him. "I'm done. Let's go." When Chuju saw Wu Yan coming out, her face couldn't help but blush, making Wu Yan feel emotional. What a pure girl. After so many days, she is still thinking about what happened that day. This is absolutely right. It's easy to say. Chuju turned her head a little unnaturally and said softly, "Then let's go. We're going to be late." Looking up at the sky that had just lit up, Wu Yan nodded seriously. "Well, we're going to be late." Along the way, Wu Yan kept looking for topics to tease Chuju, and Chuju listened to Wu Yan without saying a word. Then she kept laughing, making Wu Yan's balls hurt. After arriving at the White Emperor College, Chuju finally recovered from her stroke state. She was looking at someone in front of her with a look of disbelief. That person had just gotten out of a very luxurious car. She was a petite girl, not an adjective, really petite. She looked to be 12 or 13 years old. Her blonde hair was tied into two thin and very long ponytails. She looked at the White Emperor College with a look of disgust, as if it wasn't a college but a mental hospital. Behind her, a beautiful girl with long hair so black that it was almost blue walked down. She was wearing a kimono and was about the same age as her. At this moment, she was looking at the girl with two ponytails in front of her with a gentle expression. She raised her hand that was holding the long sleeves of her kimono and covered half of her face. She looked like an elegant little princess from ancient times. "Zhao!" Chuju shouted in surprise. Hearing Chuju's voice, the two girls turned their heads at the same time and saw the surprised Chuju and Wu Yan's expression. "What? It's you, Chuju." The girl called Zhao by Chuju said expressionlessly when she saw Chuju. "What's with your expression and reaction?" Chuju's mouth twitched. "Good morning, Miss Chuju." "Good morning, I Ching." That's right, these two were the famous young ladies of the Xianxia Academy, Zhao and Utsunomiya Izumi. Zhao of the Xianxia Academy, Level 0, Utsunomiya Izumi, Level 30, Zhao of the Xianxia Academy, the only daughter of the Xianxia Academy. Just like Lulu, she was doted on by everyone. Although she had a grandfather who liked to tease her, he still doted on her a lot. As the world's #1 female lead and the male lead's butler, how could Wu Yan not recognize this arrogant girl with two ponytails? As for the other one, perhaps she wasn't as famous as Zhao of the Xianxia Academy, but for the current Wu Yan, Utsunomiya Izumi was more interesting. From her level of 30 like Wu Yan, it could be seen how abnormal this genius spirit exorcist girl from the Heron Palace was. She was only 12 or 13 years old, but she was already on the same level as Wu Yan. Although a large part of the reason was that she inherited her family's outstanding bloodline and had extremely powerful spiritual energy, for a 12 or 13-year-old girl, what else could we ask for? Wu Yan thought that maybe in the original work, it really was Utsunomiya Izumi who subdued the spirit leader. After all, this girl was level 30 and was about the same as the spirit leader. Her exorcism ability was also used to suppress ghosts. The black gas that was a headache for Wu Yan could be easily dealt with by a simple purification talisman. Without the protection of the black gas, how could that weak skeleton be the genius girl's opponent? Well, perhaps the ghost leader could escape. This way the chances of survival would be very high. After all, this spirit exorcist girl was famous for being a natural. She could even get lost while taking a stroll in her own courtyard. She was the head of the 3,000 nunneries Sea clan. Who are you? The delicate girl with 2 ponytails looked at Wu Yan. Although she said that from her tone and expression, it seemed like even if Wu Yan didn't answer, it didn't matter. My name is Wu Yan, Chuju's housekeeper. Hello, Miss of the 3,000 nunnery and Miss of the Heron Palace. At that moment, Wu Yan could only force a smile and say to them, Housekeeper. Okay, the girl's expression finally changed. Even the elegant I Ching revealed a shocked expression. Are you sure you're Chuju's housekeeper? Not the other way around. The 3,000 nunnery said to Wu Yan with a face full of certainty, causing Wu Yan's heart to twitch. What do you mean, Zhao? Chuju said to the girl with a face full of dissatisfaction. After all, the girl's meaning was very clear. She was saying that she was valiant and didn't seem like a girl who needed a housekeeper. On the contrary, Itsunomiya Izumi bowed to Wu Yan and said very politely, Hello, Mr. Wu Yan. Alright, a natural girl is still the cutest. I really didn't expect you to come to school. Chuju looked at the girl with a funny expression. After all, the girl in front of her was the super queen who came to school less than 10 times a year. She was a super homebody. I also didn't want to come, but Maria forced me to come. After saying that, she looked at the White Emperor College's gate with a disgusted expression, as if she had met a strange uncle inside. However, Wu Yan knew that she simply didn't want to go out. As a glorious otaku girl, no one could display the word otaku more incisively and vividly than her, at least among girls. This otaku girl spent her school time playing video games, reading manga, and watching anime every day. Unfortunately, because she was too smart, she skipped grades to high school at the age of 13, so no one could control her. Including the main character of the original novel, Seo Ayasaki. Looking at the 2 cute girls, Wu Yan was speechless. Although he was also a lolicon, at most he was half a lolicon. What he really liked was pretty girls, so he hadn't reached the point where he would take lollipops whenever he saw lolas. However, Wu Yan felt that he should contact Itsunomiya Izumi. His third mission was to collect the other half of the mysterious crystal fragment. Since this crystal fragment was within the mission scope of the system, and it was also called the mysterious crystal, then it could only have some mysterious power. Perhaps the Heron Palace of the Exorcist clan would know something about this item with mysterious power. Maybe the 3,000-yard centipede could also help her. After all, she had a black pocket watch that could extract souls. Although it was lost now, it was one more way to get the soul of a person. Otherwise, where would he find a crystal the size of a thumb in this vast world? Thus, Wu Yan made a prompt decision to chat with these 2 gods. Taking out the crystal shard from his interspatial ring, Wu Yan said to I Ching, That, Miss Heron Palace, I want to ask you a question. A question appeared in I Cheng's head. She didn't think that Wu Yan, who she had just met, would have any questions to ask her. Chiao and Chuju also looked at Wu Yan in surprise. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. Ignoring the 2 girls, Wu Yan placed the crystal in front of I Ching and asked, Miss Heron Palace, do you know what this crystal is? A white crystal that was clearly broken in half appeared in front of everyone. Even though it was daytime, one could still see the halo on the crystal. Under the illumination of the sun, it was exceptionally beautiful. So beautiful. Beautiful things were very attractive to girls. Although it was only half, the mysterious crystal's beautiful appearance instantly captured Chuju's heart. It is very beautiful. Alright, for this rich woman who could even build an amusement park and a swimming pool in the 3,000 nunnery, what kind of beautiful gem hadn't she seen before? Thus, only she could say those words so casually. This is... On the contrary, I Cheng's expression was a bit serious. She frowned and looked at the crystal in Wu Yan's hand. What's wrong? Do you know the origin of this crystal? Seeing the slight change in I Cheng's expression, Wu Yan revealed a joyful expression. I Ching raised her head and looked at Wu Yan. She said to him seriously, I don't know. Wu Yan's legs went soft and he almost knelt down in front of this great ant. If you don't know, then why do you have to put on a serious expression? You don't know either? Wu Yan asked helplessly. But this crystal gives me a very strange feeling. It's as if there's some mysterious power inside. Seeing I Cheng's distressed expression, Wu Yan was also helpless. If she didn't know, then what could he do? Then Miss 3000 Nunnery, do you know what this is? I don't know. Very good, very straightforward. Then have you seen a similar crystal? Wu Yan put away the crystal in his hand and asked with a bit of expectation. Unfortunately, the two of them, including Chuju, shook their heads at the same time. This made Wu Yan a little disappointed. Mr. Wu Yan, where did you get this crystal? Iching asked Wu Yan. As a spiritualist, she was generally more concerned about this kind of mysterious power. If it was something bad, she would be able to deal with it in a timely manner. I got this after killing a ghost leader. Wu Yan didn't hide it and directly told Iching. After all, they were all people with power. There was no need to hide this kind of thing. Unfortunately, he forgot that there were two other people beside him. Ghost leader. The three girls exclaimed, attracting countless gazes. Ghost leader? Is it a ghost? Xiao Yun said a little timidly. This proud girl who pretended to be mature was actually very afraid of ghosts and monsters. Kill? Could it be that you went to kill this so-called ghost leader that day? Although Chuju was also a little scared, she looked at Wu Yan angrily in the blink of an eye. She seemed to be dissatisfied that he didn't give a proper funeral, and went to fight and kill. Mr. Wu Yan, you were able to kill a ghost leader. Iching muttered. She looked at Wu Yan with curiosity in her eyes. Seeing the different expressions of the girls and the soft whispers coming from the surroundings, Wu Yan smiled bitterly in his heart. Well, it's my fault for not finding a secret base to talk about this kind of thing. Chapter 22. Mr. Wu Yan, are you also a spiritualist? Iching curiously asked Wu Yan. Wu Yan looked at the angry Chuju and smiled helplessly. I'm not a spiritualist. I just have some power. That's why I'm able to kill these ghosts. Ghosts and monsters. Do they really exist? Hinajuku put away the anger on her face and asked timidly. Beside her, Sakura also had the same expression, but it was only after she failed to maintain her composure that she revealed it. Wu Yan didn't know how to answer Chuju's question. He could only look at Iching. Iching was at a loss. She looked around for a while and decided to change the topic. Mr. Wu Yan, where did you encounter the spirit chieftain? Iching quickly asked Wu Yan. She also had the same question. Wu Yan pointed at the White Emperor College. The three girls were in disbelief. You're saying you encountered the spirit chieftain in the White Emperor College? Iching was shocked. Then he lowered his head. As a spiritualist, he had failed to notice the existence of ghosts in the school that he had to visit every day. It was truly a dereliction of duty. There are ghosts in the White Emperor College. Are you kidding, Yan? Chuju smiled at Wu Yan. Her smile was as forced as it could be. Xiao Mu was the first to shout when she saw Wu Yan nodding his head. I told you. This school isn't a good place. There are ghosts in it. It's the worst kind of existence. Maria forced me to come here. I'm never coming here again. Wu Yan had a headache. Xiao Mu was about to burst into tears. Wu Yan quickly pulled her back by the collar. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I've already eliminated the evil spirits in the college. There won't be any more. You're lying. Do you think I'm an idiot? Xiao Mu shouted and struggled. Unfortunately, Wu Yan wanted to tell her that just because she had a high IQ, it didn't mean she wasn't an idiot. She was a typical high IQ idiot. Thank you so much, Mr. Wu Yan. Iching bowed deeply to Wu Yan. If you hadn't eliminated the evil spirits, I would have committed a grave sin if they came out to harm people. I'm really grateful. Wu Yan smiled awkwardly and complained in his heart, I'm not a good person. I'm only doing this for the mission. So you don't have to thank me. Mr. Wu Yan, where did you kill the spirit chieftain? Wu Yan could vaguely see the flames burning in Icheng's eyes. It was in the old school building. Wu Yan was glad that Icheng intervened. Wu Yan was worried that the existence of such a place full of Yin energy would attract some inhuman and ghostly things. If Icheng, who was a spirit exorcist, dealt with it, he would definitely be able to eliminate all future troubles. The old school building? Could it be that the rumor that the people in the college saw ghosts there is true? Chuju asked doubtfully. Wu Yan is speechless. This girl sure has a lot of nerves. Normal people would find it hard to accept ghosts and whatnot, but Hinajuku was able to accept them in such a short period of time. The Sankazen nunnery had to be mentioned. After all, there were ghosts in her house before and it was Icheng who got rid of them. Hinajuku is a normal person who has never come into contact with such things. Even if she has some power, it's still a question whether she can accept it. He didn't expect her to accept the existence of ghosts so quickly. Should he really say that she was worthy of being the president? So that's how it is. The old school building? I also heard of this rumor. I originally thought that it wasn't a big deal, so I planned to take a look in a few days. I didn't expect that there would be a spirit chieftain. I Ching couldn't help but furrow her brows in annoyance. Looking at I Cheng's self-reproachful expression, Wu Yan prayed in his heart that he would atone for his sins. To make a naturally lost girl look like she was in a daze, I really am a sinner. Mr. Wu Yan, I will take my leave here. Please leave the matter of the old school building to me, Mr. Wu Yan. I will definitely take care of it. Hearing that cute voice, Wu Yan couldn't help but nod his head, making I Ching reveal a dazed smile. Oh yeah, a natural girl finally looks natural again. Alright, I don't know what I am talking about anymore. Wait. Just as I Ching was about to enter the college, Wu Yan hurriedly stopped her. Excuse me. I Ching turned her head. Please be sure to bring this one with you. Wu Yan said as he brought the struggling centipede of the 3,000 nunnery in front of I Ching. You're the one. Your whole family is one. The centipede of the 3,000 nunnery had already forgotten about the spirit chieftain. She turned to look at Wu Yan with a face full of anger. A child will always be a child. What's there to be afraid of? What's there to be angry about? Large drops of sweat dripped down I Cheng's head. She then grabbed the centipede of the 3,000 nunnery who was about to escape. Ignoring her pleas for mercy, she pulled her into the campus. Miss Heron Palace, if there is any news about that crystal, please be sure to let me know. Wu Yan hurriedly shouted at I Ching. I understand, Mr. Wu Yan. After I Ching and the centipede of the 3,000 nunnery left, Wu Yan and Chuju also entered the campus. The number of people at the gate gradually decreased. On the way to the student union office in the clock tower, Wu Yan and Chuju were both speechless. They walked in silence. However, Wu Yan could feel that he seemed to have fallen into an inexplicable crisis. He saw the president walking beside him with her hands on her hips. However, her head was looking in his direction. A pair of gem-like eyes stared at Wu Yan's face as if she wanted to stare two holes into it. Seeing that Kaisha-sama is finally back to normal, Wu Yan didn't feel happy at all. Yan, don't you have anything to say to me? Chuju inexplicably smiled and asked Wu Yan. Wu Yan could already feel the atmosphere of tragedy. If he didn't explain himself clearly, tragedy would befall him. Wu Yan dryly laughed a few times. His eyes flickered slightly. What do you want me to say? Humph. Chuju snorted coldly, startling Wu Yan. Just as Wu Yan thought that Chuju was about to pull out the chopper, Chuju fell silent. A few drops of tears fell from the corners of her eyes. Wu Yan panicked. Chuju, don't cry. Don't cry. Chuju turned her head and wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. She said softly, Am I not worthy of your trust? Wu Yan fell silent when he heard that. Seeing Wu Yan fall silent, Chuju was angry. She lifted her feet and wanted to leave in a huff. However, Wu Yan suddenly pulled her back. Hinajuku was stunned for a moment, then she swung her arms hard. Let go of me. Let go. Wu Yan held Chuju tightly. He knew that if he really let Chuju leave, he would never forgive himself. Making a woman cry. That's the worst thing. With a fierce pull, Wu Yan pulled Chuju into his arms and hugged her tightly. Chuju was stunned. She didn't expect that Wu Yan would hold her in his arms. Except for her biological father, Chuju had never been touched by a man with a different surname. She had never even held hands, let alone hugged. Even her adoptive father didn't do that. At this moment, Chuju completely forgot to be angry. Her face was flushed and she didn't know what to do. She struggled uneasily. What are you doing? Let go of me, Wu Yan laughed and said, I won't let go. If I let you go, what will I do if you run away? Chuju put her hands on Wu Yan's chest and turned her head. She didn't want to look at Wu Yan's face. She said nervously, I won't run. I won't run. Let go of me. Wu Yan hugged her even tighter. He said shamelessly, I don't believe you. Who knows if you're lying to me? There's a saying in China that women are unreasonable. You. Chuju heard this and couldn't help but feel anxious. However, she couldn't do anything. Although she was indeed very strong and even the average man couldn't compare to her, she was still far from Wu Yan, who was at level 30. Unable to break free or persuade him, Chuju could only beg for mercy. I really won't run. Really. Don't be like this. People will see us. If they see us, then so be it. Wu Yan said domineeringly. Then he pressed Chuju's head and pressed her into his arms. Wu Yan hugged her and wanted to let go. Wu Yan really didn't want to, so he could only act shamelessly. Chuju struggled for a while but to no avail. She could only close her eyes and lie on Wu Yan's chest. Listening to Wu Yan's heartbeat, her face was flushed. It was really her first time. Sniffing the fragrance in Chuju's hair, Wu Yan rubbed Chuju's scalp, hesitated for a moment and said, "I'm sorry, Chuju. I can't tell you the specific situation now because I still have an important mission to do. So, after I finish what I need to do, I will definitely tell you clearly." Opening her eyes and raising her head, Chuju looked at Wu Yan's smiling face. Her eyes twinkled and she said softly, "Let's make a deal. You can't lie to me. Does that mean? That means you don't blame me for what I did?" Wu Yan smiled happily and nodded. He said half jokingly and half seriously, "Although I've lost a lot of discipline, I'm not to the point of hugging a girl and saying things against my will." Hinajiku couldn't help but chuckle. "What do you mean you've lost a lot of discipline? Your words are still so strange." Wu Yan tilted his head. "Is that so? But isn't this good? At least I can make you laugh." Chuju lowered her head in embarrassment. "I didn't ask you to make me laugh." Touching Chuju's tender waist, Wu Yan grinned silently. He hugged Chuju tightly and closed his eyes. Chuju also closed her eyes. The two enjoyed this warm moment. Perhaps even the heavens couldn't stand it anymore, so they sent out the messenger of justice to save the girl in danger. A pitiful shriek rang out. Following the shriek, an unknown humanoid figure fell from a tree not too far away from Wu Yan and Hinajiku. The two who were listening to each other's heartbeat jumped in fright. Chuju hurriedly pushed Wu Yan away, her face red. Wu Yan pursed his lips in dissatisfaction and glared hatefully at the person who interrupted him. He had a head of light blue short hair and was wearing a black Western butler suit. He had a sickly face. He rubbed his head and cried out in pain while his hands tightened as if he was hugging something. "Seo Ayasaki, level 16. Alright, the truth was out." The person who interrupted Wu Yan's pursuit was undoubtedly the protagonist of the original novel. "How did you fall from the sky?" Wu Yan was embarrassed. Chuju also looked curiously at Seo Ayasaki. Seo Ayasaki retorted, "I didn't fall from the sky, I fell from the tree." Wu Yan slapped his forehead and said helplessly, "Alright, student who fell from the tree, may I ask why you fell from the tree?" Seo Ayasaki scratched his head awkwardly. "I wanted to save a cat that ran onto the tree and couldn't get down, so I climbed up the tree. In the end, the cat suddenly attacked me, so I fell down." After saying that, he let go of his other hand to show the cat inside, indicating that he was telling the truth. The moment he let go, the cat suddenly went crazy and scratched Seo Ayasaki's face until it was covered in wounds. "Ah." Chuju looked at Seo Ayasaki with embarrassment. Wu Yan was gloating. "Who told you to disturb me?" Chapter 23. Wu Yan is pissed that someone interrupted him while he's trying to get a girl, but there's nothing he can do about it. If you want to hit him, he wouldn't mind. However, the original main character Ayazaki-sa may have had a lot of misfortune in his life, but he's still a good person. Even if it wasn't for no reason, he can't just hit him like that. If you don't want to fight, Wu Yan wouldn't be happy about it. In the end, he had no choice. Well, let's say hello first. After all, he was the protagonist of the original novel. Looking at Seo Ayasaki, who was still immersed in the attack, and the embarrassed Chuju, Wu Yan forced a smile and looked at Seo Ayasaki. "Hello, I'm Wu Yan from China. Although I'm a student of the White Emperor College, I'm currently the housekeeper. Nice to meet you." Hearing Wu Yan's words, Chuju reacted and said with a smile, "Hello, I'm Gui Chuju." Suppressing the naughty cat in his hand, Rinzaki-sa forced a smile with a face full of red marks. "I'm Rinzaki-sa, the housekeeper of the 3000 nunnery." "Hello, so you're a housekeeper too?" The last sentence was obviously directed at Wu Yan. Perhaps it was the first time that Seo Ayasaki saw a housekeeper of the same age as him. His eyes were full of surprise and curiosity. "Yes, I'm the housekeeper of Miss Chuju." Wu Yan glanced at Chuju and said with a smirk. Seo Ayasaki was even more surprised. He was the housekeeper of the beautiful pink-haired girl? No wonder Seo Ayasaki was so surprised. After all, he clearly saw the two of them hugging each other intimately. He thought that they were a couple. Perhaps understanding Seo Ayasaki's meaning, Chuju blushed and glared at Wu Yan with dissatisfaction. It wasn't clear if she was dissatisfied with his forceful hug or his introduction. "So, Yasaki-kun, what are you doing here? You don't seem to be a student of the school." After Seo Ayasaki's antics, Chuju's shy mood finally eased a little. However, Chuju was very curious about Sao Ayasaki. She released the cat in a fluster and then she told Hinajiku and Wu Yen in an embarrassed manner. Actually, it's because my milady forgot to bring her lunch this morning. That's why I had to bring it over. After hearing Sao Ayasaki's words, Wu Yen suddenly remembered that such a thing did happen in the original work. In the original work, Sao Ayasaki came to the White Emperor College because the centipede of the 3000 nunnery forgot to bring her lunch. However, the process was quite complicated. Just like Wu Yen, he was attacked by the crazy girl as soon as he arrived at the White Emperor College. Unfortunately, he wasn't as strong as Wu Yen. He was only one grade lower than Gui Shuelu, so it wasn't easy for him to enter the White Emperor College. In the end, Sao Ayasaki sneaked into the White Emperor College with the help of the idiot trio. In the original work, the cat that Sao Ayasaki saved was saved by Chuju. However, because Chuju was afraid of heights, she didn't dare to come down. Therefore, with Sao Ayasaki's help, she landed safely. Then she was brought to the student union by Chuju. A series of events happened around him. Now, under the influence of Wu Yan's interference, the initial relationship between Sao Ayasaki and Chuju was gone. Wu Yan couldn't help but feel lucky. He looked at Sao Ayasaki with a much kinder gaze. Although Wu Yan was a guy with abnormal luck with women, he didn't think that he would lose to this unlucky guy when he made the first move and was in a favorable position. Moreover, the warm scene with Chuju just now had already made some progress in their relationship. With the previous interactions they had with each other as the foundation, how far could they be from a complete relationship? Therefore, Sao Ayasaki, you open your crystal palace and I'll open mine. Let's mind our own business. Your crystal palace is so big, but I don't have a single one. The one I have is still in the process of being conquered. Therefore, you don't have a share in Chuju. You can go in peace. Let's not talk about Wu Yan's thoughts. Chuju's expression became uglier and uglier as she listened to Sao Ayasaki's bumpy journey to the White Emperor College. Yasaki-kun, is the person who attacked you at the door and didn't let you in? Is she a woman with light green shoulder-length hair? When Wu Yan said this, he clearly saw Chuju trying to suppress her anger. Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh. With such a crazy sister, Chuju, you'll grow old very easily. Seeing Sao Ayasaki nod, Chuju was immediately surrounded by a dark aura. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. No way. The president also knows the dark aura technique? Wu Yan was dumbfounded. Seeing that Chuju was about to explode, Wu Yan quickly grabbed Chuju's hand and said, "All right, Chuju, now that Yasaki-kun is here, let's put the previous matter aside. Let's help him look for Miss 3000 nunnery." The dark aura behind them disappeared in an instant. Seeing Wu Yan holding her hand, Chuju's face turned red. She turned her head away awkwardly. That's true. Then let's go. We'll go to the student union first. We'll inform Kue later. After saying that, she ran away without hesitation. Seeing Chuju run away, Wu Yan was speechless. Sao Ayasaki was confused. What an idiot, Sasha. She actually got caught trying to save a cat. She's really... The student union office was not as empty as it used to be. At this time it was full of people. Kue raised his finger and pointed at Sao Ayasaki, who was standing in front of him with his head lowered. He was saying the same words that he had said no less than 10 times. I Ching of the Palace of Herons stood next to the two of them and seemed to want to say something. However, as the 3000 nunneries Yun continued to speak, he couldn't find a chance to interrupt. He could only stand there and say, that. Sagoa Izumi, Hainaling Miki, and Asafa Risa, the three idiots, were watching Kue teach Sao Ayasaki a lesson. They were shouting and yelling at the side as if they wanted to intervene. However, they were holding cards in their hands. At the corner of the room, Gui Shuelu was tied up like a dumpling and tossed there. His eyes were spinning, while Hinajiku was furiously spitting saliva at the crazy big sister. Wu Yan was sitting at the only desk in the student union office. He occupied the seat that originally belonged to Chuju. Looking at the noisy student union office, he yawned helplessly. Not long after bringing Sao Ayasaki here, Kue suddenly ran over. She laughed hysterically and grabbed the knight sword that was used as a decoration. She planned to execute Sao Ayasaki on the spot. When she saw Gui Shuelu acting crazy, Chuju's long-accumulated resentment finally exploded. She also grabbed a knight sword and planned to kill her own flesh and blood. In the angry and crazy battle, Gui Shualu became more and more engrossed in the battle. In the end, she became fiercer and fiercer. It was as if her opponent wasn't her younger sister. Although Chuju was still angry, she was too kind. How could she really do anything to her elder sister? Thus, in the unfair battle, Chuju was nearly chopped up by Gui Shualu. Wu Yan, who originally planned to watch the show, became furious when he saw this. You want to place righteousness before family? Do you have any respect for me, your brother-in-law? Thus, after a horrifying training that was not suitable for children, Gui Shualu went to lie in a corner like a dumpling. After Wu Yan took care of Saiko Wani-chan, Izumi and I Ching of Heron Palace arrived. Accompanying them were the idiot trio. After a round of intense questioning, this is how things turned out. Looking at the people here, Wu Yan became a bit absent-minded. When he saw Butler Whirlwind, Wu Yan was quite envious of the way they interacted with each other. Although every day seemed to be very tiring. However, it was undeniable that they were very happy, not only because they were happy but also because they were sad and troubled. Everything in the end would turn into happiness. Wu Yan was very envious. As an otaku, he couldn't experience this. But now, since he had such an opportunity, he might as well enjoy it. Wu Yan smiled and he looked at I Ching, who is still at a loss for what to do. Miss Heron Palace, how is the matter with the old schoolhouse? Hearing Wu Yan's words, everyone present quieted down. Wu Yan felt a bit strange. However, when he saw the curiosity in their eyes, Wu Yan knew. The old schoolhouse? Is it the place with monsters that Kuei-chan said? The idiot trio's eyes flickered with a strong light. There was clearly the word fun written there. When it came to serious matters, I Cheng's expression slowly became serious. Of course, in Wu Yan's opinion, she was still a bit cute. Yes, the Yin energy there is very heavy. If we don't deal with it properly, it might attract even more monsters. I have already used a talisman to seal the cave. As for what happens after, we can only wait for the family to come and hold a ceremony together to purify the place. But Chuju also turned around and came to Wu Yan's side. She said to I Ching, who seemed to be very troubled, "But what? From the Yin energy in that place, there should have been a lot of evil spirits." I Ching immediately swept her gaze to Wu Yan. Following I Cheng's gaze, everyone present cast their gaze to Wu Yan. Wu Yan nodded when he heard that. Indeed, before the ghost leader came out, there were a lot of skeletons and vengeful spirits. The number was huge. Even if it didn't exceed 1,000, there were at least 100. Everyone couldn't help but be shocked. I Cheng's mouth was wide open. She looked at Wu Yan as if she was looking at a giant who wore his underwear backwards. Wu Yan looked at I Ching with a wry smile. "Don't look at me like that. I believe that if you want to do it, it will be easier for you than it is for me." Indeed, I Ching was a witch of the exorcist tribe. Every ability she had was targeted at these monsters. Although I Cheng's level was the same as Wu Yan's because of the problem of mutual restraint, compared to Wu Yan, who could only use his sword to attack, I Cheng's magic was easier to eliminate those monsters. It was like the same amount of water and the same amount of clothes. The clothes covered the fire and had to be stepped on a few times. After a while, the fire would be extinguished. However, water was different. As long as the water was poured, it would be clean and not a trace of fire would be left. Everyone looked at I Ching again. I Ching looked left and right, then pulled up her sleeves to cover her face. This girl is shy. However, I Ching was really cute when she was shy. Look at Seo Ayasaki, who was staring at I Ching with a blushing face and a dazed expression. When I Ching saw Seo Ayasaki's expression, her face was filled with anger and she threw a punch at him. "Sa, you idiot." The punch landed squarely on Seo Ayasaki's face. Seo Ayasaki immediately screamed in pain. His nose bled and he flew backward. Then he crashed into Segoa-kwan, who was watching the show from the side. The two of them rolled on the ground. Then they looked at each other affectionately with a man on top and a woman on the bottom. I Cheng's face was green with anger. Her face quickly turned black. "You big idiot." Looking at the abuse in front of him that was unknown to outsiders, Wu Yan was delighted. The original protagonist was only interesting when he was unlucky. Chapter 24. Not long after the farce started, I Ching suddenly spoke to Wu Yan. "Mr. Wu Yan, I would like to invite you to my house. I wonder if you have the time?" Following I Cheng's voice, the office suddenly became strangely quiet. The quarreling stopped, the beating stopped, and the screaming stopped. Everyone just looked at Yi Cheng and Wu Yan with eyes full of ambiguity. Of course, other than a certain person, Wu Yan felt a chill run through his body and stiffly turned his head. What he saw was the president with an amiable smile. This is bad, the favorability is going to be reset to 0. As expected, the main character has to be unlucky to be interesting. Wu Yan's face was covered in tears. Yi Cheng started to panic under everyone's ambiguous gazes and hurriedly explained, "No, it's not what everyone thinks. I just want to invite Mr. Wu Yan to my home because my mother and grandmother are all curious about Mr. Wu Yan's spirit exorcism, so. Hearing this, everyone nodded in understanding. Feeling the chill disappear, Wu Yan also let out a sigh of relief. Just now he was almost taken advantage of. After letting out a sigh of relief, Wu Yan started to ponder. He was still very interested in Yi Cheng's invitation. Not only did he want to see the top fighting power in this world, but he also wanted to complete his mission. The Heron Palace was a famous family in this world. Adding on the fact that they were spirit exorcism, they definitely had a lot of power. If he had to rely on himself to find the crystal, it would be better to ask a big family for help. That would save a lot of effort. Thinking about it, asking them to find a crystal shouldn't be rejected. Thus Wu Yan nodded and smiled at Yi Cheng. "I understand, Miss Heron Palace. I'll visit the Heron Palace tomorrow." Yi Cheng smiled. "Then I'll wait for Mr. Wu Yan's arrival." After school, Wu Yan and Chuju walked home. What was different from usual was that Wu Yan walked behind while Chuju walked in front. Every time Wu Yan quickened his pace, Chuju would also quicken her pace. However, she didn't stand next to Wu Yan. This made Wu Yan very confused. Did I do something wrong? Chuju, who was walking in front, felt very complicated. She really didn't know how to face Wu Yan. Before Wu Yan, Chuju had never been so close to a man. In the beginning, Chuju was full of hostility towards Wu Yan, who shamelessly boasted that he would pass the White Emperor College's entrance exam within an hour. After all, as the student council president of the White Emperor College, Wu Yan's arrogance was a provocation to her. He was looking down on the White Emperor College. Therefore, Chuju made a bet with Wu Yan in a fit of anger. Later, after getting along for an hour, Chuju gradually realized that Wu Yan wasn't the arrogant person she thought he was. On the contrary, he was very easy to get along with. This made Chuju, who was originally hostile to Wu Yan, gradually change her view of Wu Yan. Chuju couldn't help but be curious about Wu Yan because of the change in her view of Wu Yan and her surprise at his memory. As for the development of the housekeeper later, Chuju just wanted to help if she could. She just wanted to give Wu Yan, who came from another place, a place to stay. Gradually, after getting along with Wu Yan, Chuju understood Wu Yan more. She became dependent on Wu Yan, who made her laugh every day, and Wu Yan's cooking. Chuju gradually regarded Wu Yan as her closest friend. That night, Wu Yan suddenly broke into her room and saw her naked body. Chuju was really angry. She cared a lot about her figure, not about anything else but her breasts. She was almost 16 years old, but her breasts were not as good as some junior high school students. This made her feel very distressed and also made her feel inferior. Therefore, after being seen by Wu Yan that night, Chuju felt that Wu Yan would definitely laugh at her. Being laughed at by her best friend or something. When she saw Wu Yan looking at her chest with a regretful expression, Chuju felt even more inferior. Feeling like she's going for broke, Hinajuku didn't even put on her clothes. She wanted to teach Wu Yan a lesson so that he wouldn't laugh at her. Unexpectedly, not only did Wu Yan not laugh at her, he even said something like, "I like you a lot." Chuju's heart was in a mess. Although she was very popular in the White Emperor College, there were almost no boys who really got along with her. When did she experience such a situation? What's more, Wu Yan even said that he liked her very much. That night, Chuju's feelings towards Wu Yan began to change a little. However, after that, Chuju's heart had an inexplicable resistance towards Wu Yan. This is the first time Hinajuku had such strange feelings towards a boy. She didn't know what kind of expression she should have when facing Wu Yan. That's why her way of interacting with Wu Yan became so weird. Originally they were chatting and laughing, but now Hinajuku doesn't know how to act more naturally. Therefore she could only choose to resist this kind of feeling clumsily. She clumsily chose to be passive in getting along with him. This made Chuju start to worry. Wu Yan would definitely hate her like this. However, Wu Yan acted as if nothing had happened. He continued to make delicious food for her and told her funny things. This made Chuju's strange feelings shrink and grow. Today Chuju was really in a mess. Why did she feel sad that Wu Yan was hiding something from her? Being hugged by Wu Yan, shouldn't I try to break free? Why did she involuntarily fall into his gentleness? Why did she feel a little unhappy when she heard that I Ching invited Wu Yan to her house? Chuju had always lived a simple life. Her heart was as calm as an ancient well. However, her thoughts were constantly stirring up waves. I say, Lady Hinajiku, if I've done something wrong, please give me a quick death so that I can die in peace. Looking at Chuju, who was rushing straight and even taking the wrong path, Wu Yan was really speechless. After all, the two of them were now in the woods. Therefore, he rushed in front of Chuju and blocked her way. Wu Yan looked like he was ready to die. Shocked by Wu Yan's action, Chuju quickly took 2 steps back. Then she heard Wu Yan's words. Looking at Wu Yan's funny look, Chuju couldn't help but laugh. Wu Yan's expression changed and he also laughed. You laughed? Does that mean you're fine? Chuju couldn't help but be stunned. Then she forced a smile. Of course I'm fine. What can happen to me, really? Wu Yan looked at Chuju with disdain. Then he slowly approached Chuju and put his face in front of Chuju. Wu Yan said with a smile, look at my face. Say that you're fine again. Chuju's heart began to beat faster. Her face slowly turned red. Looking at Wu Yan's face so close, Chuju couldn't help but step back. How could Wu Yan let the president go? So as Chuju retreated, Wu Yan moved forward. In the end, Chuju's back was already leaning against a tree trunk. There was no way to retreat. Wu Yan also moved forward. Chuju's heart suddenly beat faster. She could only turn her head and shout. It's fine. It's really fine. Wu Yan rolled his eyes. You don't even dare to look at my face. How dare you say you're fine? Really, if you have something to say, then say it. Otherwise, the previous agreement doesn't count. Agreement? Chuju turned her head in confusion and looked at Wu Yan. Wu Yan stumbled and looked at Chuju with a sad expression. Okay, you've already forgotten. Chuju scratched her face embarrassedly and looked at Wu Yan. What agreement? Since you've already forgotten, then forget it. What, say it. Don't tell me you're talking about the bet that you still owe me? Chuju shook her head in distress and then said a little frantically. Wu Yan laughed as he looked at Hinajiku, whose face is full of concern. He shrugged. Okay, didn't you say that I'll tell you about my matter in the future? You've already forgotten what happened today. You're still an outstanding student. Oh, so it's that. Chuju nodded in realization, then she was stunned and shouted loudly, No. You absolutely can't forget it. Didn't you say that you won't say anything against your heart when you hug a girl? How can you go back on your words? Looking at the furious Hinajiku, he didn't know what to say. It seems like you forgot about this, Kaisha-sama. You're the one who forgot it. It's not that I didn't keep my promise. Anyway, you just can't do it. Chuju looked at Wu Yan with a serious face. Her eyes were full of disapproval, which made Wu Yan even more speechless. Rolling his eyes, Wu Yan touched his chin and smirked. In other words, the agreement must be kept, right? Of course. Chuju said without hesitation. Hearing this, Wu Yan looked at Chuju and smiled. Chuju couldn't help but have a bad feeling in her heart. Well then, Miss Hinajiku, since you mentioned the terms of the bet just now, shouldn't you abide by the terms of the bet as well? Wu Yan smirked. Hinajiku paused for a moment, then said resolutely, All right. Tell me, what are the conditions? I'll definitely abide by them. Oh, Wu Yan said with a long voice. The smile on his face became more brilliant. Wu Yan slowly moved his face closer to Chuju. Chuju was stunned. Looking at Wu Yan's face getting closer and closer, she seemed to have thought of something. With a bang, steam began to rise from her face. Looking at Wu Yan's face getting closer and closer, Chuju said in a panic, What are you doing? Wu Yan smiled and said slowly, What do you think I'm doing? Chuju wanted to step back, but behind her was a tree trunk. Wu Yan's body was already close to her, and his head was getting closer and closer. Chuju could only raise her hands and stop Wu Yan's chest. Her face was bloody red and she said, Don't do this. Wu Yan turned a deaf ear and his heart was wild with joy. Such a good opportunity, such a good atmosphere. If he didn't start the next step, he could just kill himself. Wu Yan wrapped his arms around Chuju's waist and pulled Chuju into his arms. Then he slowly moved closer to Chuju's lips. Chuju's body began to tremble uneasily. When she was completely in Wu Yan's arms and felt Wu Yan's body touching hers, Chuju began to gasp for breath. Finally, she closed her eyes and accepted her fate. Just as Wu Yan was about to occupy the territory in his dream, a sense of danger suddenly filled his body. Wu Yan's body tensed up and his eyes suddenly opened. He hugged Chuju and jumped away from the place. Bang! Just as Wu Yan left the place, a loud sound rang out. Chuju, who was in his arms, was shocked by the sound. She quickly opened her eyes, and when she saw the thing in front of her, Chuju's face was filled with horror. It was half the size and height of a normal person, wearing armor and holding 2 giant axes in its hands. At first glance, it looked like an armored fatty who was attacking people with axes. However, although the person in front of them had the body of a human at first glance, no one would see him as a human, as he had no head. Wu Yan hugged Chuju and looked at the attacking creature. His face was expressionless, but his eyes and heart were filled with anger. The original protagonist disturbed me while I was trying to woo girls, and now you, a headless piece of trash, dare to disturb me. Chapter 25. Headless Giant. Level 20. Since the headless giant didn't succeed in its attack, it put away its axe and swung it around a couple of times. Then it leaned forward and opened its arms wide. It swung its arms at Wu Yan's direction as if it's roaring. What is that? Chuju looked at the headless giant with a pale face. She couldn't help but hug Wu Yan as her body trembled slightly. Wu Yan almost forgot that our Kaisha-sama is also very afraid of these supernatural things. Wu Yan smiled bitterly as he felt the trembling body in his arms. He quickly tightened his arms around Chuju's waist and comforted her. It's nothing. It's just a bug. Don't be afraid. Looking up at Wu Yan, Chuju's trembling body slowly calmed down. Although her face was still pale, her fear had lessened a lot. She clutched Wu Yan's clothes tightly, afraid that he would suddenly leave her. Seeing that Chuju was much better, Wu Yan smiled and said, "Wait here first. I'll take care of her and then take you home." Hearing Wu Yan's words, Chuju was a little worried and said, "Will it be okay? Why don't we run?" "No problem. Trust me." Wu Yan kissed Chuju's forehead and said with a smile. Wu Yan's action made Chuju's pale face blush a little. Seeing Wu Yan's determined eyes, Chuju let go and said worriedly, "Then, be careful." Wu Yan nodded with a smile and tightened his arms around Chuju's waist. Then he let go of Chuju and turned to look at the headless giant. The smile on his face turned cold and the anger in his eyes reignited. Wu Yan slowly walked towards the headless giant. Wu Yan waved his hand and the Kusanagi sword appeared in his hand. Wu Yan gripped the scabbard of the Kusanagi sword and smiled coldly. "I'll let you know the consequences of disturbing someone's flirting with a girl." Holding the Kusanagi sword at the side of his waist, Wu Yan grabbed the scabbard with one hand and the hilt with the other. He smiled ferociously and rushed forward. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the headless giant. A cold light flashed and an arm holding an axe flew into the sky and landed on the ground not far away. The headless giant screamed silently. Although there was no sound, the air fluctuated, indicating that Wu Yan's attack was not useless. The headless giant's body shook and the axe in its other hand slashed towards Wu Yan. "Be careful." Seeing the axe coming towards Wu Yan, Chuju couldn't help but shout worriedly. Although Wu Yan was not at the same level as Chuju, Chuju was still level 18. Although the headless giant was level 20, tier 3, Chuju, who was not far from tier 3, could still see the headless giant's movements clearly. If it wasn't for the fact that the headless giant is the type that Hinajiku is afraid of, this competitive girl wouldn't just stand by and watch Wu Yan face danger alone. Of course, this was because Chuju didn't have the same detection system as Wu Yan did and didn't know how to sense auras. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so worried. After all, Wu Yan was an entire level higher than the headless giant. Wu Yan calmly looked at the incoming axe. He didn't move the sword in his right hand, but he suddenly raised the scabbard in his left hand and placed it in the path of the axe. With a clang, the scabbard blocked the axe. Wu Yan's eyes turned cold. His right hand suddenly moved and the sword slashed across the headless giant. The headless giant screamed again and its other arm was separated from its body. With a twist of his body, Wu Yan spun in a circle and kicked the headless giant who had lost its arms away. After breaking a few trees, the headless giant crashed onto the ground and stopped. Chuju was stunned for a moment then ran to Wu Yan's side. "Are you okay? Do I look like I'm not okay?" Wu Yan smiled and looked at Chuju's delicate face. Then his gaze moved to her lips and his heart was filled with tears. Do you think it's easy for me to woo a girl? Do I have to be so unhappy? I wanted to take a step forward twice, but I was interrupted both times. Both times I looked so weak. Damn God, I hate you. Chuju saw Wu Yan's gaze and knew what Wu Yan was thinking. Her face turned red and her eyes fiercely glared at Wu Yan. She said with dissatisfaction, "What time is it now? You're still thinking about this kind of thing." Sigh. Wu Yan sighed and then said with a face full of unwillingness, "Then let's talk about it next time." Who wants to do it with you next time? Chuju turned her face and said weakly. Someone said it before. Promises must be kept. Wu Yan kindly reminded. It seemed like he wouldn't cry until he saw the coffin. Chuju gritted her teeth and glared at Wu Yan. Then she shouted, "It's almost dark. Why don't you hurry up and kill that monster and then go home? I'm hungry." Looking at Chuju, who was about to change the topic, Wu Yan laughed and then nodded. He walked toward the headless and handless giant. Since there was a first time, there would be a second time. The first time was unfamiliar, the second time was familiar. Wu Yan firmly believed in this principle. Although this first time hadn't happened yet, at least there was a trend. She obviously didn't reject him just now. Then it proved that she liked him. Therefore Wu Yan just needed to take it slow. He was clear in his heart and was very happy. Finally he got half of the president. Wu Yan, this damn otaku, was clear about it. The bold and careful president was even more clear about it. It turns out that I, like Yen, with both hands clasped in front of her chest. Chuju looked at Wu Yan's back. Her eyes were slightly absent-minded. Thinking of the hostility when they first met, the joy of getting along with each other, the shyness of being seen naked that night, the warmth from Wu Yan's embrace, and the kiss that almost happened just now, Chuju smiled. Chuju was drunk. Looking at the headless giant who was lying on the ground struggling to get up, Wu Yan raised the Kusanagi sword in his hand and then cut it in half. Fortunately there was no blood on the headless giant. Otherwise Wu Yan would have to find another way to kill it. Too much blood was not good. Wu Yan was not afraid, but Chuju, who was born in the ordinary world, couldn't stand it. After the headless giant died, its body slowly turned into ashes. This saved Wu Yan a lot of trouble. After all, although this was a forest, it wasn't far from the city. Otherwise, Chuju wouldn't have come here unintentionally. If other people came here and saw such a weirdo, it would definitely be on the headlines tomorrow. Wu Yan thought that he would have to exchange for something to deal with it, such as corpse dissolving water. After the headless giant completely disappeared, Wu Yan sighed with emotion. Ever since he transmigrated 3 months ago, Wu Yan had never experienced such a simple battle. In the past his opponents were all higher level than him. Every time Wu Yan had to put in a lot of effort to defeat them. Even though the monsters he encountered in the underground hall were all level 10 except for the ghost chieftain, that huge army of monsters didn't make things easy for him. This made Wu Yan feel that he had become stronger. Of course, Wu Yan knows that even though he's gotten stronger, he's still a long way from becoming a true powerhouse. What's wrong? A sweet voice woke Wu Yan from his emotional state. Wu Yan hurriedly collected his emotions and looked at Chuju, who had walked to his side and was looking at him. He smiled and said, "Nothing, weren't you hungry? Come on, let's go home. I'll make you something good to eat." When Chuju heard this, she couldn't help but reveal a very sweet smile, which made Wu Yan dazed for a moment. "Okay, then let's go back." Nodding, Wu Yan scratched his head and walked out of the forest with Chuju. However, he was puzzled. For some reason he felt that Chuju treated him differently. Whether it was from the way she talked to him or the way she looked at him with her gem-like eyes. Well, forget it, as long as I'm happy. Under Chuju's curious gaze, Wu Yan put the Kusanagi sword back into the interspatial ring and said with a smile, "Hey, what about our agreement?" Although he didn't want to tell Chuju everything about himself, Wu Yan didn't want to hide it from Chuju for the rest of his life. Therefore, there were some things that he didn't want to do in front of Chuju, so there was no need to hide it from her. When she heard Wu Yan's words, Chuju originally wanted to ask him how he made the sword disappear, but she swallowed back her words. Her face turned red again and she turned her head away and said hesitantly, "The agreement, didn't you say it already? When it's time to tell me, you'll tell me, right?" Wu Yan was stunned and looked at Chuju in surprise. "Good girl, still pretending. You know that's not what I'm talking about." "Why not? That's what I'm talking about." Are you trying to cheat? Who? Who wants to cheat? Then what about you? When are you going to fulfill your promise? Didn't I say it already? When the time is right, I'll keep my promise. Then I'll wait for the right time to fulfill our agreement. Chuju, you've become bad at night. Maybe it's because of the progress he made with Kaisha-sama today. Wu Yan showed off his skills and made a table full of dishes. He fed Kaisha-sama and Chuju's mother until their stomachs were full. Even Chuju's father, who just got off work, couldn't help but eat the leftovers. Milady, you should go take a bath, Wu Yan said to Chuju, who was still sitting at the table while cleaning up the dishes. Yeah, I know. Chuju nodded, then looked at Wu Yan and said seriously, Yan, you're not allowed to call me Milady anymore, okay? Wu Yan flinched. She said this no less than 100 times, but she's never said it to him in such a serious manner. What's going on? That's why, Wu Yan, you're still young. If you want to be the king of strategy, you need to work harder. Just as she was about to tease him, Wu Yan's eyes narrowed and he said with a smile, Okay, go take a bath. Seeing Wu Yan agree, Chuju laughed happily, then she kicked the chair and skipped to the bathroom like a child. Wu Yan laughed and shook his head, then he put down the bowl and chopsticks in his hand, jumped out of the window and stood on the ground. At the same time, the Kusanagi sword appeared in Wu Yan's hand. Without hesitation, Wu Yan pulled out the sword and stabbed it into the ground. A baby's scream sounded, then a circle of blood appeared on the ground next to the Kusanagi sword that Wu Yan stabbed into the ground. Putting away the sword, Wu Yan frowned deeply. This is already the 4th group of monsters after he killed the headless giant and brought Chuju home. What's going on? Why are these monsters here one after another? This has never happened before. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Wu Yan couldn't help but feel confused. What's going on? This situation only started today. Could it be that I've done something to attract these monsters? Or did Chuju's family do something? Shaking his head, Wu Yan put the Kusanagi sword back into the space ring and walked into the house. Forget it, I'll ask when I go to Heron's house tomorrow. Chapter 26. The next day, Wu Yan made breakfast as usual and then called Chuju's family over. Wu Yan, Chuju and Chuju's parents began to enjoy a delicious breakfast. Gui Xuelu was a teacher at the White Emperor College. She didn't usually live at home but at school. Therefore, Chuju's family usually didn't see her here. Of course, it was fortunate that she wasn't here. Otherwise, even if she was a grown-up, Wu Yan would have to carefully consider whether or not to move in. The 4 leisurely finished their breakfast. Then Chuju's father said goodbye and went to work. Chuju's mother went to the living room to watch the morning news. Chuju was still sitting at the dining table with a newspaper in her hand. She had a very serious expression as she read it. Her eyes occasionally drifted to Wu Yan, who was cleaning up the dishes. Today was the weekend, so there was no class. Wu Yan and Chuju could be so leisurely. Of course, it was only temporary. Oh right, I'll go out later. I'll probably be back by noon. After cleaning up the dishes, Wu Yan said to Chuju. Hearing this, Chuju couldn't help but ask, Where are you going? Picking up a handkerchief and wiping his hands, Wu Yan looked at Chuju in amusement. Did you forget? Yesterday I promised Miss Heron Palace that I would visit her house. I Ching. Chuju paused and then fell into deep thought. After a while, Chuju stood up and said to Wu Yan, I'll go with you. Wu Yan looked at Chuju in surprise and then a naughty smile slowly appeared on his face. Seeing Wu Yan's smile, Chuju blushed and said angrily, Don't misunderstand anything. I'm just bored at home, so I want to go to I Cheng's house to take a look. Chuju's face had a very suspicious blush as she said this. Her hands kept shaking, which made Wu Yan sigh. Then he said firmly, If you're worried that I'll go out to flirt, just say it. I won't laugh at you. Chuju's body stiffened and then she said in a rather unreasonable manner, Who's worried that you'll go out to flirt? You're nobody to me. I'm just worried that you'll do something to I Cheng. That's right, that's it. This is arrogance, right? That's right. If that's the case, then I won't go to I Cheng's house today. I'll go out to flirt. Before Wu Yan finished speaking, Chuju fiercely pinched the soft flesh on Wu Yan's waist, making Wu Yan wail. Chuju glanced angrily at Wu Yan and snorted. This scoundrel only knows how to bully others. Chuju turned away and walked to the door. Okay, let's go. Wu Yan shook his head helplessly as he touched the flesh on his waist. It was said that this was a natural skill for girls. Wu Yan didn't believe it before, but now he had no choice but to believe it. This is Yi Cheng's house? It's so big. Wu Yan and Chuju were standing in front of the Heron Palace's door. Looking at the big door of the Heron Palace, Chuju couldn't help but speak. Although he had never seen a door that was bigger and taller than this one, Bai King's door was much bigger than this one. Bai King's door was a school and this was just a home. How could the two be compared to each other? It is no wonder they are rich. Wu Yan nodded and said that. He walked to the door and pressed the doorbell. Yes, this is the Heron Palace. Quickly a voice sounded. Although he didn't know whose voice it was, Wu Yan still said it. Oh, I am Wu Yan. I was invited by Miss Itsunomiya Izumi to visit. Okay, please wait a moment. After the conversation was over, Chuju walked over. Wasn't that Yi Cheng's voice? I don't think so. Wu Yan scratched his face and said, it should be a maid or housekeeper. After all, it is a big family. Chuju heard that and nodded. While Wu Yan and Chuju were talking, the door slowly opened. Yi Cheng walked out and approached Wu Yan and Chuju. Mr. Wu Yan, Miss Chuju, good morning. Just like before, Yi Cheng used the long sleeve of his kimono to lift his mouth. He bowed and spoke to Wu Yan and Chuju. Good morning, Miss Heron Palace. Wu Yan didn't care much about etiquette, so he just waved his hand. Good morning, Yi Cheng. Chuju also said with a smile. Although she wasn't very familiar with Yi Cheng, she was much better than Wu Yan. Please come in with me. My mother is already waiting in the living room. Yi Cheng said to Wu Yan and Chuju. When he mentioned his mother, his smile was a bit forced. Wu Yan found it funny. He knew that Itsunomiya Izumi's mother was a woman who seriously went off the rails. However, Wu Yan didn't find it strange. To be able to give birth to a daughter who could get lost and come to the capital for a walk, her personality should be within Wu Yan's imagination. Yi Cheng brought Wu Yan and Chuju to a living room that was a bit smaller than the square. There, a woman who looked more mature than Yi Cheng, similar to Yi Cheng but with short hair, was sitting. Her eyes were staring at Wu Yan and Chuju without moving. Wu Yan and Chuju felt a bit numb from being stared at. Yi Cheng also pulled up his long sleeves to cover his slightly red face. He ran to the woman's side in small steps and called out softly. Mom. Hearing the sound, Yi Cheng's mother turned her head and looked at Yi Cheng. She tilted her head and put on an expression of sudden realization. She smiled and said, Isn't this Yi Cheng? When did you come? I came from the beginning, Mom. Yi Cheng looked awkwardly at Wu Yan and Chuju, then said with a bit of anger. Is that so? Yi Cheng's mother shook her head, then raised her hand and rubbed Yi Cheng's head. She smiled and said, Really? You can't lie to people. Lying is not a good child. Mom. Wu Yan and Chuju looked at each other and were speechless. They then looked at Yi Cheng with sympathy. It's been hard on you. Hinajiku even felt a sense of empathy. After all, she also has a troublesome older sister back at home. For himself and for others, Wu Yan felt that it was better to go straight to the point. Greet Madam of Heron Palace, I'm Wu Yan. I came this time to ask you something. Yi Cheng's mother looked at Wu Yan blankly, then said to Wu Yan, Ask me? Do you want to ask about the secret of maintenance? Actually, I want to ask Madam if you recognize this crystal. Since people who cared about details were all 9, Wu Yan directly ignored Yi Cheng's mother and took out the mysterious crystal shard. Although he didn't expect Yi Cheng's mother to know anything, at least, I know. Wu Yan nodded and he subconsciously blurted out what he had in mind. Oh, you really don't know? Then I have something to ask of you. The smile on his face froze as if a spell was cast on him. After a while he recovered with a smile on his face. Wu Yan asked with a bright face, Can you repeat what you just said? I sincerely ask of you. Yi Cheng's mother continued to touch Yi Cheng's head and looked at Wu Yan. Then she slowly nodded her head and said, Do you want to ask about the secret of maintenance? Chuju raised her hand and patted her head. Although Chuju didn't interrupt, Chuju also felt a wave of helplessness from the bottom of her heart. Mom. Yi Cheng's face was almost buried in the ground. She only had one thought now, and that was to lose face. However, what she didn't know was that even if the president gave out benefits, Wu Yan might not care, let alone losing face. Now Wu Yan was completely immersed in joy. There was finally a clue for the last mission. How could Wu Yan not be happy? Thus he couldn't wait to ask. Madam of Heron Palace, is what you said true? This crystal. Wu Yan pinched the crystal with his fingers and pushed it closer to Yi Cheng's mother. It was only 1 centimeter away from her face. He asked expectantly, "Do you really know it?" Yen. Chuju seemed to feel that Wu Yan was being rude again, so she pulled on Wu Yan's clothes and smiled apologetically at Yicheng's mother. Yicheng's mom didn't really care. She's a person who doesn't care about anything. Even if Wu Yan were to run naked in front of her, she would probably just laugh it off. Then she would happily make tea and enjoy Wu Yan's performance. "I know this crystal." Yicheng's mother pointed at the crystal in Wu Yan's hand and said unhurriedly. After Chuju pulled on his clothes, Wu Yan knew that he was wet. Wu Yan smiled brightly and became serious. He said to Yicheng's mother, "Since Madame of Heron Palace knows the origin of this crystal, then please tell me. This crystal is very important to me, so, Mom, please help Wu Yansen. He helped me before, get rid of spirits." Yicheng's voice was so soft that almost no one could hear her. Looking at her blushing face, Wu Yan is grateful. Yicheng's mom nodded and Hinajiku on the other hand is pissed. "Sure." Yicheng's mother picked up the tea on the table and carefully took a sip. She seemed to be organizing her words before slowly saying, "This crystal is called the mysterious crystal. However, I actually prefer to call it the sealing crystal." Sealing crystal? Yes, because there is some kind of monster sealed inside this crystal. Sealing monster? Wu Yan couldn't help but frown as he picked up the mysterious crystal. A crystal used to seal monsters? System, why did you give me this kind of mission asking me to collect the crystals used to seal the monster? Why is there a monster sealed inside this crystal? Wu Yan turned around and asked Yicheng's mother. Yicheng's mother took the crystal in Wu Yan's hand and tilted her head to look at it. She said, "A long, long time ago. Can't complain. Definitely can't complain." Wu Yan pinched his thigh hard and laughed dryly at the puzzled Chuju beside him. He quickly sat up straight and still. Probably in ancient times, it was an era where monsters roamed freely. At that time humans were not prosperous. Under the threat of monsters they could only live in fear. However, one day a powerful monster was born. This monster was very powerful. At that time the demon king coveted this powerful monster's demonic power. Therefore he planned to eat it to increase his own strength. In order to obtain the monster's flesh and blood, the demon king sent out all of his monster subordinates. He didn't want to rely on them to capture the monster alive. Instead, he planned to exhaust the monster's strength by taking turns. However, the demon king underestimated the monster's strength. All of his subordinates were sacrificed under the monster's attack. Although a part of the monster's strength was depleted, the demon king was still not a match for the monster. In the end, the demon king was eaten by the monster. At that time, a human exorcist family happened to discover this battle. In order to prevent this monster from harming the human world in the future, the patriarch of this exorcist family led his people and sealed the monster while its strength was greatly reduced after the battle. And the thing that sealed this powerful monster was this mysterious crystal. Chapter 27. In other words, there is a monster inside this beautiful crystal, is that so? Chuju glanced at the mysterious crystal in Wu Yan's hand. After seeing Yicheng's mother nod, she quickly moved to the side. Seeing Chuju's reaction, Wu Yan couldn't help but roll his eyes. In response, Chuju glared at him. Pinching the mysterious crystal shard in his hand, Wu Yan pondered. He didn't understand why the system would issue a mission to collect this kind of crystal that sealed a monster. Although he didn't know what was going on, Wu Yan didn't want to think about it. After all, anyone would want to harm him except the system. It wasn't that Wu Yan didn't think that there was someone controlling the system from behind. However, after thinking about it for a while, Wu Yan let it go. If there was someone who wanted to harm him, they would have done it when he transmigrated. Why wait until now? Therefore, no matter if the mission issued by the system was good or bad, at least it didn't pose any danger to him. Otherwise, the system wouldn't issue such a mission. Well, although the system has issued many missions that put Wu Yan in danger. Looking at the crystal shard in his hand, Wu Yan sighed. I didn't expect that there was a monster inside. That's right. Back then, because of it, both the demons and humans suffered great losses. However, it was also because it killed the demon king and his subordinates that the humans were able to suppress the demons today. Speaking of this, Yicheng's mother started to speculate. Even now, this monster has a great influence. Countless monsters are like the Monster King, coveting its flesh and blood. If they sense the aura of the crystal, these monsters will definitely come knocking. Wu Yan couldn't help but be startled when he heard this. Then he gritted his teeth. No wonder since yesterday those monsters came one after another. So it was because of this. Damn it, I really want to beat someone up. It was no wonder that Wu Yan had such a huge grudge. No matter who it was, if they were attacked dozens of times in a single night and had to get up to kill demons when they were about to fall asleep, they would definitely feel unhappy. Shaking his head, Wu Yan looked at Yi Cheng's mother and said with a serious expression, "Then Madam of the Heron Palace, do you know where the other crystal is?" Wait. Chuju couldn't help but be shocked when she heard this. She quickly pulled Wu Yan and said, "Do you really want to gather this crystal? There are monsters in there." Wu Yan rubbed his head and spread out his hands. Monsters? I know. It's not the first time I've met one. Then why do you still want to collect it? Although this kind of thing looks very beautiful, it sounds very dangerous. It's better to throw it away. Looking at the crystal in Wu Yan's hand, the originally beautiful crystal was no different from a scourge in Chuju's eyes. Chuju said with a bit of worry. Wu Yan rolled his eyes and chuckled. Suddenly he threw the crystal at Chuju. What? Scared? Chuju was shocked and screamed. She hurriedly threw the crystal back and angrily stared at Wu Yan. This scoundrel, doesn't he know that I'm very scared? Don't worry, I'm here. Seeing that Chuju was truly scared, Wu Yan's heart softened. He stopped teasing her and comforted her. The anger gradually disappeared. Chuju rolled her eyes at Wu Yan. She snorted and turned her head. Holding Chuju's hand, Wu Yan said helplessly, "Well, don't be angry. I have a reason to collect it. You'll know later. Be good, be obedient." Hearing that Wu Yan was coaxing her like a girlfriend, Chuju's anger disappeared. She blushed and shook Wu Yan's hand. Then she broke away. This tsundere is so tiring. Yi Cheng's mother watched the drama from the side with interest. First she looked at Wu Yan, then at Chuju. She looked back and forth between the two. Seeing his mother's behavior, Yi Cheng, who hated getting lost, complained sincerely. Why didn't she get lost at this time? If she got lost, she wouldn't have brought Mr. Wu Yan and Miss Chuju here. Then she wouldn't be so embarrassed. His mother was really. After Wu Yan and Chuju finished talking, Yi Cheng's mother said with a smile, "You two are a couple, right? Your relationship is so good. I'm so envious." Back then Yi Cheng's father and I, hearing that Yi Cheng's mother was going off topic and that the topic was about shyness, Hinajika's face turned red as she shouted, "No auntie, we're not a couple, I'm just his sister, that's right, that's it." Ah, this tsundere is so tiring. And I've said it once. I won't complain anymore. Yi Cheng's mother was probably used to going off topic. She was clearly talking about monsters just a moment ago, but now she was talking about love history. Moreover, there were some things that she forgot as she spoke, and now she had to say it a second time. This made the blushing Hinajiku feel embarrassed. Wu Yan said helplessly, "Then Madam of Heron Palace, do you know where the other crystal is?" You don't know. Actually, Yi Cheng's father is also very cute. He looked up and saw a gigantic ceiling. Hinajika did the same thing as Wu Yan, but compared to Wu Yan, Kaisha-sama looked much cuter when she did this. Yi Cheng reached out with both hands and grabbed his mother's hand. He pulled hard and saved Yi Cheng's mother from being killed by memories. However, Wu Yan and Chuju looked at Yi Cheng with gratitude. They felt that they needed to be saved more. Afraid that Yi Cheng Ma will go off the rails again, Wu Yan clapped his hands to get her attention. Putting on an expression that doesn't look much better than crying, Wu Yan asked in a soft voice. Heron no Mia, do you know where the other crystal is?" "I know." "Okay, direct enough." Other than Yi Cheng's mom, everyone else didn't know how to react to the sudden turn of events. Even Wu Yan, who is usually the one to piss people off, didn't feel the joy of getting the answer he wanted. Instead, he felt a lump in his chest, and it's hard to describe how uncomfortable he felt. Wu Yan exhaled heavily. At the same time, he heard another exhale. He turned to look at Chuju. Chuju also looked at Wu Yan. Their eyes were filled with tragedy. "Madam of Heron Palace, please tell me where the other crystal is." Wu Yan enunciated each and every word in a serious tone. If it wasn't for the fact that he's an elder, Wu Yan would have kicked him into space and brought him back. He would have used his own methods to get the answers he wanted. For example, torture or something. The sealing crystal, also known as the mysterious crystal, after that powerful monster was sealed, In order to prevent it from coming out and harming others, the chief of the exiling clan who was in charge of the sealing ceremony split it into two. One was kept in his clan's collection. The other was used as the core of another sealing ceremony. Yi Cheng's mother stopped here and looked at Wu Yan with a smile. Wu Yan was stunned. He said uncertainly, "The core of another sealing ceremony? Could it be?" "That's right. It's the seal of the Heavy Yin land. It's the underground hall of the White Emperor College's old school building." Wu Yan understood. So that was the case. No wonder there were so many monsters in the underground hall of the old school building. It was the Heavy Yin land. The Heavy Yin land was the place with the heaviest Yin energy. It attracted so many monsters, including monsters at the level of a ghost chieftain. It was understandable. No wonder the people of the White Emperor College didn't notice that so many monsters were in the White Emperor College. Even I Ching didn't notice. Those monsters also didn't come out to attack humans. It was all because of the seal of this crystal. Although there were still some details that he didn't understand, such as why the mysterious crystal fragment appeared in his hands after killing the ghost chieftain, Wu Yan didn't plan to delve into the details. He just assumed that the mysterious crystal fragment was collected by the system as a treasure dropped by a monster. After understanding, Wu Yan's expression became serious. So the other mysterious crystal is in the hands of the Exterminator clan or their descendants. Yes. Where is it then? Wu Yan asked in a hurry. It's right here. Can you say that again? So it's right here with me. Following Yi Cheng's mother's words, a crystal identical to the one in Wu Yan's hand was taken out of her pocket by Yi Cheng's mother and handed to Wu Yan. Wu Yan rubbed his forehead with a headache. He didn't know why, but after finding this crystal, Wu Yan didn't feel happy. Instead, he felt that it was a trap. How should he put it? It felt like a strong start but a weak finish. Patting his face, Wu Yan walked in front of Yi Cheng's mother and sincerely said, "Madam of the Heron Palace, can you please give this crystal to me? It's very important to me." Of course. All right, Wu Yan admitted that although he had a bit of immunity, he couldn't help but be shocked. "If that's the case, then thank you very much, madam." While sighing in his heart, Wu Yan also sincerely thanked Yi Cheng's mother. After all, she did him a big favor and didn't make things difficult for him. Just as Wu Yan was about to take the crystal, a delicate voice suddenly shouted. Although the voice wasn't loud, it gave everyone a fright. In fact, only Wu Yan and Chuju were startled. I Ching naturally looked in the direction of the voice. As for Yi Cheng's mother, she acted as if she didn't care and continued to hand the crystal to Wu Yan. A figure flashed by, and before Wu Yan could react, the crystal that was supposed to be in his hand disappeared. Wu Yan hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice. Then his expression turned awkward. "Grandma Zhu, why did you come out?" I Ching asked the person with a confused expression. Grandma Zhu." Chuju looked in shock at the person who came, the corner of her mouth twitching. It's no wonder Wu Yan and Hinajiku reacted this way. The newcomer has a head full of snow-white hair and a height of less than 1.4 meters. She has a very delicate face and looks like a little lowly in her teens. And this little girl was called Grandma Zhu by I Ching. How could Chuju remain calm? However, Wu Yan already knew, he just didn't expect her to jump out. "Child's mother, how can you give such a dangerous thing to an outsider? What if the seal is broken by a demon?" The little girl jumped and said. Allah. I Cheng's mother smiled and said, "Wu Yan Kun is a good child. He won't mess around." The little girl who was called Grandma Zhu looked at I Cheng's mother with a face full of disappointment. Who knows if he's pretending or not? What if he's tricked? That won't happen. No, I won't agree. Over my dead body. The little girl angrily turned her head away. Wu Yan couldn't help but feel a headache. After all, he couldn't snatch it by force. However, I Cheng's mother smiled and said to her, "You won't agree even if we ask him to help us do that thing?" Wu Yan clearly saw that when I Cheng's mother said, "Help us do that thing," to her Grandma Zhu, her eyes suddenly lit up. She looked at Wu Yan and exclaimed in surprise, "Okay. Deal. Didn't you say you won't agree? Didn't you say you won't agree unless you die?" Chapter 28. If he hadn't seen this creature's aged appearance in the original work, he wouldn't have believed that she's I Cheng's grandmother. No matter how you look at it, she's just a little lowly. Whether it was from the physical or psychological point of view, Wu Yan felt pressured as he looked at the bouncing little girl in front of him. If there's anything you need help with, I will do my best. Wu Yan felt a sense of relief when he said that. That's right. Such an important item was the last part of his mission in this world. Wu Yan felt that it was unrealistic if it could be completed so easily. Let me explain. Yi Cheng's mother pulled the little girl and smiled gently. I will listen carefully and I hope you will be serious too. Wu Yan emphasized on the word, serious. He didn't want Yi Cheng Ma to get into the topic of love history as she rambled on. He didn't know if Yi Cheng's mom understood what Wu Yan meant, but she took out a talisman from her bosom. It wasn't any different from the other talismans. If one had to describe it, it was just a little shabby. It looked like it had been there for a long time. What's this? Wu Yan looked at Yi Cheng's mother in confusion. Wu Yan was very confused about the talisman that Yi Cheng's mother took out because he felt a different aura from it. Wu Yan had seen the talisman that Yi Cheng had used before. Although it was powerful, it was only Yi Cheng's power that had taken effect. The talisman was just like a switch that displayed its effect. It didn't have any power on its own. If Yi Cheng didn't add his own power to the talisman would be just an ordinary piece of paper. Now, the talisman that Yi Cheng's mother took out unexpectedly had a trace of aura. This proved that someone's power was attached to it. Judging from the shabby appearance of the talisman, Wu Yan guessed that the power on it didn't belong to Yi Cheng or Yi Cheng's mother. This talisman is a pass to a certain barrier. Yi Cheng's mother's expression gradually turned serious. Wu Yan glanced at Chuju. Seeing that she didn't have any intention of speaking, he looked at Yi Cheng's mother. Our Heron Palace is a family of exorcists. Up until now, the number of evil spirits and ghost demons we've gotten rid of is innumerable. Speaking until here, a hint of pride involuntarily appeared on Yi Cheng's mother's face. It seemed that she was quite proud of her family, but she returned to her original state in an instant. However, no matter how powerful our family is, there are demons and ghosts that we can't exorcise. They are much stronger than ordinary demons and ghosts and ghosts and ghosts and ghosts. Usually we can only use seals to restrict them and prevent them from hurting humans. Seal? Wu Yan could already guess what Yi Cheng's mother wanted him to do. Nodding, Yi Cheng's mother continued. Although there aren't many of these powerful demons and ghosts, after generations of accumulation, there are still quite a few of them. Thus, in order to prevent an accident from happening due to the excessive number of locations being sealed, a certain generation of the House of Heron's family combined the strength of the entire family to construct a huge sealing barrier. In other words, those demons and ghosts that can't be exorcised are all sealed in this barrier? Yes. As long as the demons and ghosts are too powerful to be completely exterminated, our Heron's palace will imprison them there. Wu Yan frowned. Although he didn't want to comment on anything, there were advantages and disadvantages to doing this. Seeing Wu Yan frown, Yi Cheng's mother sighed. I think Wu Yan-kun has already thought of this. Yes, although doing this will save us a lot of trouble, it will create even more trouble. Create even more trouble? Chuju looked at Yi Cheng's mother in confusion. Wu Yan shrugged helplessly and explained, if I'm not wrong, although doing this will avoid the trouble of not taking care of them properly, gathering these demons and ghosts that are stronger than ordinary demons and ghosts together will cause the number of demons and ghosts to rise to an uncontrollable level. At that time there will be big trouble. What? Chuju looked at Yi Cheng in shock, but Yi Cheng only shook his head. Yi Cheng's mother smiled bitterly and said, yes, as time passed, the number of demons and ghosts in the barrier increased and they became stronger. Finally, one day something unexpected happened. The family head of that generation had just returned from exterminating his spirit. He planned on sealing the magical beasts that he had subdued into the spirit formation. However, after that family head entered the spirit formation, he never came out again. At that time, the Heron Palace family almost caused an uproar because of this. After organizing a few people to enter the spirit formation to scout for information, not a single one of those people returned. So the new family head strengthened the spirit formation and completely sealed it. He did not allow the family members to seal magical beasts inside. Wu Yan looked at Yi Cheng's mother and said, since that's the case, then what's the problem? Could it be that the barrier has been broken? It can't be. Chuju laughed dryly as she looked at Yi Cheng's mother. Yi Cheng's mother quickly waved her hand. No, the barrier has been forbidden from sealing demons. With the current state of the barrier, as long as nothing unexpected happens, the barrier will definitely not be broken. Seeing Chuju sigh in relief, Wu Yan shook his head in amusement. Then he said to Yi Cheng's mother, "Since nothing will happen to the barrier, then Madam of the Heron's Palace, what you want me to do is related to this barrier?" "Yes." Yi Cheng's mother raised the talisman in her hand and said, "This is the only pass to enter the barrier. As long as you hold this talisman you can enter the barrier." "Wait," Chuju said in shock, "could it be that you want to enter the barrier?" Yi Cheng's mother looked at Chuju and lowered her head in silence. "No. I absolutely won't agree." Chuju shouted, "Aren't you going to die? There are a lot of powerful demons there." Wu Yan quickly pulled Chuju over and said with a bitter smile, "Chuju, don't get agitated. Let's see what Madam of the Heron's Palace has to say." "Yan, you can't go." Seeing that Wu Yan didn't immediately refuse, Chuju couldn't help but worry. Wu Yan patted Chuju's back and indicated for her to calm down. Then he looked at Yi Cheng's mother. "Can you tell me the details?" Yi Cheng's mother sighed and said, "Actually, we want to ask Mr. Wu Yan to help us retrieve something." "Retrieve something?" Wu Yan looked at Yi Cheng's mother. "It's the treasure of our Heron's Palace, the jade of the Heavenly Palace." Following Yi Cheng's mother's words, a servant appeared in the living room with a simple book. He handed it to Yi Cheng's mother and then left. Yi Cheng's mother opened the book and placed it in front of Wu Yan. She pointed at a jade tablet and said to Wu Yan, "It's this jade tablet." What appeared in Wu Yan and Chuju's eyes was only an ordinary jade tablet. Looking at the jade tablet in the book, Wu Yan asked in confusion, "This is the treasure of the Heron's Palace? Looks like an ordinary jade tablet. Why is it in that enchantment filled with demons and ghosts?" Hearing this, Yi Cheng's mother lowered her head with a bitter smile. "The Heavenly Palace's jade is our family's treasure. Only the current family head has the qualifications to possess it and wear it. However, as I said earlier, one of the family heads of the Palace of Heron never returned after entering the spirit formation. He has likely been killed. However, at the same time he brought the Heavenly Palace's jade into the spirit formation." Wu Yan nodded in understanding. He glanced at the jade tablet and was silent for a moment before saying, "Is it something very important?" Yi Cheng's mother's expression was firm. She sat up straight and looked at Wu Yan without blinking. She said to Wu Yan without hesitation, "Yes. Very important. Very important." Hearing Yi Cheng's mother's words, Chuju couldn't help but say, "Isn't it just a jade tablet? Even if it's important you can't send people to their deaths." Yi Cheng's mother said expressionlessly, "If going to their deaths can take back the jade of the Heavenly Palace, then I hope that person is me." Mom. Yi Cheng looked at his mother in shock, seemingly frightened. Wu Yan and Chuju were also shocked by Yi Cheng's mother's words. Everyone present could hear the firmness in Yi Cheng's mother's voice. "The jade of the Heavenly Palace, is it that important to you? You can even throw away your life?" Wu Yan frowned as he looked at Yi Cheng's mother. Although it was a family treasure of the Heron's Palace, with Yi Cheng's mother's personality, she shouldn't be so obsessed with worldly possessions. There must be some inside story. "I want to hear your reason, the real reason." Wu Yan waved his hand and he said in a serious tone. Yi Cheng's mother hesitated and looked at Yi Cheng with flickering eyes. For a moment everyone was silent. "Although the jade of the Heavenly Palace is our family's treasure, its use is only a symbol. If you insist on saying what function it has, then it's just that it can stabilize the user's spirit power. However, it's this function that we really need right now." Yi Cheng's mother closed her eyes and sighed before speaking faintly. "Stabilize spirit power." Wu Yan was surprised and then looked at Yi Cheng. Wu Yan-kun really has godlike foresight. Yi Cheng's mother lovingly patted Yi Cheng's head, her eyes filled with the doting of a mother towards her child. Yi Cheng was born with spirit power that ordinary people couldn't match. Because of this powerful spirit power, Yi Cheng was able to become a powerful spirit exorcist at a young age, even surpassing everyone in the family, including me and Yi Cheng's grandmother. However, because of this, Yi Cheng's spirit power isn't stable. If we don't find a solution, Yi Cheng won't be able to control his spirit power and become an ordinary person. Mother. Yi Cheng's eyes began to mist. Wu Yan and Chuju also became silent. Everything was for her daughter. For her daughter, Yi Cheng's mother would give away such a dangerous, mysterious crystal. For her daughter, Yi Cheng's mother would rather die. For her daughter. In the face of such great maternal love, Wu Yan and Chuju couldn't find a reason to refuse. Therefore they could only remain silent. Of course I won't force Wu Yan-kun, Yi Cheng's mother said with a smile, but her eyes were fixed on her daughter. Wu Yan smiled bitterly. Not to mention the task at hand, Wu Yan couldn't bear to refuse Yi Cheng's mother's selflessness. Moreover, although it sounded very dangerous, powerful demons and ghosts also meant a large amount of experience. With his strength he should be able to deal with this world that didn't have a high degree of mystery. At the very least, there were many heaven-defying things in the system. With the points he had accumulated over a long period of time, it shouldn't be difficult to protect his life. In other words, it seemed like this trip was a must. I understand, Madam of the Palace of the Heron. Leave the matter of the Jade of the Heavenly Palace to me. Standing up, Wu Yan rubbed his shoulders and said with a smile. Yan. Chuju opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end she lowered her head. Yi Cheng's mother raised her head in surprise and handed the talisman to Wu Yan. She bowed deeply and said solemnly, I'm counting on you. Chapter 29. Chuju, I want to go. No, it's true, I want to go. But, I want to go. Looking at Chuju, who couldn't even get a drop of oil into her ears, Wu Yan wanted to cry but had no tears. Wu Yan knew that Chuju must be very angry that he decided to go to such a dangerous place. After coming out of the Palace of Herons, Wu Yan was prepared to die or die, and was prepared to receive the guild leader's training. However, when he just came out of the Palace of Herons, Chuju said to him, I want to go. It wasn't that Wu Yan didn't think that the guild leader might beat him up, or give him a cold face, or give him a grand farewell, or even give him a kitchen knife. Wu Yan even thought about it. However, he didn't think that the guild leader would actually ask to go together. This time it wasn't like the trash headless giant from before. Even that time in the underground hall wasn't as dangerous as this time. Wu Yan could calmly ask to go not only because he had the system as his backing, but also because he lived in the behemoth forest and more or less had some experience in dealing with situations. However, if the guild leader was included, then it would really be troublesome. The guild leader was only level 18 stage 2. The enemies this time were all at least level 20, not to mention that it wasn't just one but a nest of them. Wasn't this asking the guild leader to go on a suicide mission? Therefore Wu Yan could only earnestly advise, Chuju, it's really dangerous this time. I might not even be able to take care of myself, how can I let you go? Chuju immediately turned her head and said, it's because it's dangerous that I have to go. But, do you think I'm annoying? Do you think I'm a hindrance? Chuju angrily looked at Wu Yan and shouted loudly. This misunderstanding was huge. Wu Yan quickly waved his hand and shook his head. It's not like that. I'm just worried that something might happen. I don't care. If you're going, I'm going. Wu Yan hesitated. Chuju didn't listen to him at all. Once she decided on something, even 9 bulls might not be able to pull her back. If he ran away without a care, then with Chuju's personality, the probability of her coming to find him alone was 100%. But if he let her follow him, sigh. Can't you listen to my advice? Wu Yan said helplessly. Chuju stared at Wu Yan's face with tears in her eyes. This can't be right. Wu Yan looked at Chuju dumbfounded. Was she going to cry? No, I can't do anything about a girl's tears, not to mention the tears of a girl I like. Anyone who knows Hinajuku would know that for this competitive girl, making her cry is harder than making the boys in the academy wear skirts. Wu Yan, on the other hand, has only known Hinajuku for less than a month and he almost made her cry twice. If he really made Hinajuku cry, then it would be a huge sin. Carefully looking at Chuju, Wu Yan said weakly, Chuju, I'm scared. Chuju suddenly said, interrupting Wu Yan's words. Wu Yan couldn't help but be stunned. Wiping her eyes, Chuju raised her head again, looking at Wu Yan and said softly, I'm scared, I'm really scared. I'm scared that once you go there you won't come back. So I'm scared, really scared. As she spoke, Chuju's eyes started to moisten. So I want to follow you, at least I can stay by your side and help you. Faced with Chuju's words, Wu Yan was silent. He had completely forgotten that he could face danger calmly, but would Chuju be able to calmly watch him face danger? For someone like him who was planning to take the risk, the person he was most worried about was none other than Gui Chuju in front of him. As for Wu Yan, who planned to use the barrier as a training ground, how could he understand Chuju's worries? Lowering his head, Wu Yan laughed self-deprecatingly. That's right, I didn't think about your feelings when I agreed to someone else's request. I'm really bad. Chuju suddenly swayed directly into Wu Yan's arms, startling Wu Yan. In a fluster, he hugged Chuju's waist. His face was completely dazed. The guild leader threw herself into his arms? Wu Yan's mind was filled with such thoughts. This is completely out of his expectations, this kind of super development. Chuju was extremely embarrassed that she did such a thing. She didn't think about it at all. Her body moved on its own. By the time Chuju reacted, she heard Wu Yan's heartbeat. Eyes closed, face red, Chuju's body trembled slightly, but since she had already done it, Chuju had no choice but to go all out. I don't know why you would take the risk for that, Crystal, but you have your reasons. I have mine too. Let me go, please. Smelling the fragrance of Chuju's hair, Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Don't you blame me? For a crystal I took the risk. Shaking her head, Chuju laughed and said, didn't you say that one day, you will tell me about your matter? This is our agreement, so I believe that you must have your own reasons. Hearing Chuju's words, Wu Yan couldn't help but tighten his arms, letting Chuju closer to his body. His heart was full of emotions. Wu Yan was an otaku. Wu Yan liked 2D beauties. There was no reason. This was a feeling that only an otaku would understand. And when the person you like treats you like this and trusts you, what kind of feeling is that? Wu Yan didn't know what other people's feelings were, but Wu Yan himself knew what kind of feelings he should have. I want to tell her my feelings. Chuju, I like you, I like you, I like you very much, very much. When she heard Wu Yan's loving voice, Hinajiku's body couldn't help but tremble. She bit her lips to stop herself from expressing her emotions. However, the emotions that she didn't have an outlet to express rushed to her eyes and tears slowly flowed down her cheeks. Wu Yan, who was originally very afraid of girls crying at this moment, smiled at Chuju's tears, because he knew that the meaning of these tears was different. Raising her hand, Hinajiku hugged Wu Yan's neck and buried her head deep into his chest. She expressed her feelings without saying a word. Tears flowed down her cheeks, but she had a beautiful smile on her face that tugged at one's heartstrings. Reaching out to wipe Chuju's face, Wu Yan wiped the tears on her face and said to Chuju, do you know? Actually, I'm not from this world. Chuju couldn't help but raise her head, looking at Wu Yan. She didn't speak, but her eyes were full of doubts. I'm from another world, Earth. It's not the same as this world. There are no demons, ghosts, or spiritualists. It's just a very ordinary world. For months ago I woke up one day and found myself in another world. In that world there are powerful people and magical beasts, but I only have a system. Qin Shu's voice slowly sounded in the world where only the two of them were in. As Wu Yan's affairs were slowly revealed, Chuju's face constantly showed expressions of doubt, astonishment, and confusion. It was no wonder Wu Yan's words were too shocking. Chuju's face showed all kinds of expressions, but there was no doubt. And Wu Yan, who saw everything, waited until he finished talking about his mission after coming to this world. Then he couldn't help but ask, this is a fantasy story, don't you doubt it? In response to Wu Yan's doubts, Chuju opened her mouth and her face couldn't help but blush. She said softly, didn't you say that one day you'll tell me about your affairs? So, I've already mentally prepared myself. Besides, didn't you say that when you're hugging a girl, you won't say anything against your heart? Wu Yan couldn't help but be stunned when he heard this, and the emotions in his heart burst out. Wu Yan raised Chuju's face and under her shocked expression he suddenly kissed her. Wu. Chuju's eyes widened and her body stiffened. She didn't react at all. Everything happened too suddenly. If she said that she was mentally prepared for Wu Yan's matter, then Chuju wasn't mentally prepared for her first kiss at all. By the time she reacted, Wu Yan's tongue had already broken into her mouth, entangling with her own. Chuju's eyes couldn't help but widen a few more times. Under Wu Yan's attack, Chuju's body began to relax and finally fell into Wu Yan's arms. Her eyes were open and she felt the sensation on her tongue. Was it a second? Was it a minute? Or an hour? Time was completely forgotten by the two who were immersed in love. When Wu Yan left Chuju's lips, Chuju was still in a daze. Her first kiss was gone just like that. Wu Yan licked his lips and laughed. It's really sweet. Wu Yan's voice woke Chuju up from her daze. Seeing Wu Yan's smirk, Chuju finally realized what she had done. Chuju's face quickly turned red and her watery eyes were filled with disbelief. Her mouth slowly opened and Chuju screamed. She pushed Wu Yan away and raised a trembling finger pointing at him. What did I do? Wu Yan looked at Chuju with amusement. He was very interested in Chuju's behavior. How could you? Chuju had a lot of words to say, but in the end she only said this sentence. Why can't I do this? You without my consent, you. Seeing Wu Yan's shameless face, Chuju's heart went crazy. You didn't? Wu Yan pretended to be confused and tilted his head and said with a smile, I remember there was. Someone said that when I fulfilled my promise, someone would fulfill the conditions owed to me, right? I've already told you everything just now, so it's only natural for you to return what you owe me, right? Although that's what he said, Wu Yan complained in his heart. I told you everything except that you're an anime girl. Wu Yan didn't have the guts to tell Hinajuku that she's just a character from an anime in my world. Otherwise, who knows what the Tsundere Kaishisama would do? Hearing Wu Yan's explanation, Chuju sullenly closed her mouth. Thinking of the kiss just now, Chuju's heart was filled with shyness. She was so shy that she didn't dare to face Wu Yan again. So the president closed his eyes, covered his face, lowered his head, lifted his feet and immediately ran in the opposite direction. Touching his lips, Wu Yan's heart sighed. Things developed to this point, Wu Yan was a bit unable to react. After all, at that time he was infected by Chuju's words. His heart was already filled with Chuju's figure, and he only thought of how to vent this feeling. When he realized what he did, he was already in a state where he stole Chuju's first kiss. So Wu Yan could only use teasing to ease his violently beating heart. It was also his first time. Although such a shameful thing was hidden by him. It's really easy to get shy, President. It seems like I have to train more in the future. With such a shameless thought, Wu Yan smiled evilly and then he chased after the president. After all, that was the opposite direction. Chapter 31. The light gradually faded and the girl slowly appeared before Wu Yan's eyes. Her eyes were tightly shut, and her expression was indescribably serene, as if she was a princess waiting for her prince to wake her up. She had shoulder-length brown hair, a heroic and beautiful face and a petite figure. She was wearing the Tokuwadai summer school uniform that Wu Yan was very familiar with. Even though he had seen this figure countless times on the screen, Wu Yan still felt very excited. The feeling of seeing the real person and seeing it on the screen was naturally different. When the strong light completely dissipated, a dazzling silk thread suddenly shot out from the girl's heart. Before Wu Yan could react, it pierced through Wu Yan's skin and connected to Wu Yan's heart. Wu Yan looked at the light thread that pierced through his heart in horror. At the same time, two different heartbeats began to sound in Wu Yan's ears. The two heartbeats fought to beat each other, and as time passed, the heartbeats began to get closer and closer. Until a certain moment when the two heartbeats became exactly the same frequency, the sound dissipated. The light thread that connected the two hearts also broke off from their bodies and then began to distort. In Wu Yan's eyes, the light thread turned towards the center and gathered together to form a small light bead that was the size of a glass bead. The small light bead mischievously jumped up and down in Wu Yan's room. After it circled the room once, it suddenly trembled and quickly entered Wu Yan's body, fusing with him. Wu Yan's face was a little strange. He touched his body and it didn't seem like there were any changes. However, Wu Yan could feel that there was an additional feeling in his body. It was like adding a little more water to a half-filled cup. Was this the life fusion that the system mentioned? Wu Yan narrowed his eyes. As he groped his body, he turned his gaze to the girl in front of him. The young girl's pretty face began to move. Her eyelids trembled as if she had just woken up. Her eyes, which were the same color as her hair, were filled with confusion as she opened them. The girl blinked a few times, tilted her head and looked around. Then her gaze landed on the only survivor on the scene. The two of them instantly looked at each other and just like that they were in a deadlock. The girl's direct gaze made Wu Yan feel a little uncomfortable. Even if it was a normal girl staring at him, he would still feel a little embarrassed, let alone the fact that she was a 2D character that he liked very much. Even if Wu Yan's skin had been trained to be quite thick, he would still feel a little embarrassed. Misaka Mikoto's eyes darted up and down Wu Yan's body as if she was trying to familiarize herself with him. Just as Wu Yan was about to speak, Misaka Mikoto suddenly spoke. "Are you my master?" Instantly, A huge sense of dissonance surged into Wu Yan's heart. Wu Yan's face was filled with astonishment. Wu Yan raised his finger and pointed at his own nose. The master you're talking about, are you talking about me? Misaka Mikoto's small face made her look like an old-fashioned official. She nodded at Wu Yan and said, yes, it seems like you're my master. Wait. Wu Yan immediately raised his hand to stop her. He looked at Misaka Mikoto sternly. Are you sure you're Misaka Mikoto and not some heroic spirit familiar or whatever? I'm Misaka Mikoto. Misaka Mikoto raised her voice a little. Although she didn't know what a heroic spirit familiar was, she was still her. Being treated as something else made this girl, who had a bad temper, a little unhappy. Alright then, please tell me, why do you call me master? This was the most puzzling question Wu Yan had. Misaka Mikoto was taken aback. She scratched her face awkwardly. Shouldn't the summoned person address the person who summoned them that way? Who told you that? Wu Yan rolled his eyes. He finally figured out what's going on. Sis Canon didn't know what she was supposed to say. Under Wu Yan's glare, Misaka Mikoto's face started to blush. She shouted angrily. Yurusai, Yurusai, Yurusai. Alright, now Sis Canon had changed from a heroic spirit to silly Shauna. Well, although the way she appeared was a little different, it should be Sis Canon. With a slight smile, Wu Yan shook his head and waved his hand. Hello, my name is Wu Yan. You can call me Yan. I know your name. Under Wu Yan's surprised gaze, Misaka Mikoto crossed her arms in front of her chest. She glanced at Wu Yan's room from time to time, as if she was curious about everything. Wu Yan, on the other hand, didn't know how to react to Misaka Mikoto's words. Know me? How do you know me? I knew when you summoned me. Misaka Mikoto's lips curled into a smile. When I woke up, my brain was invaded by a memory. Everything about you is in that memory, including your name. Everything about me. Wu Yan couldn't stay calm anymore. Everything? How much is everything? Don't tell me he even knows about the fact that I'm trying to woo 2D girls in Hinajuku? Oh no. If that's the case, with Sis Canon's personality, it's hopeless to woo her. Really everything? With a hopeful gaze, Wu Yan stared straight at Misaka Mikoto. His stare made her scalp tingle. This Wu Yan is a little strange. That was Misaka Mikoto's first impression of Wu Yan. However, Misaka Mikoto came to a realization. Everyone has their own privacy. If a stranger found out that she liked Gutta for no reason, she wouldn't be happy either. Of course, if Sis Canon knew that Wu Yan was thinking about how to woo her, she would be so angry that her face would turn green and she would give him a shot with her super electromagnetic gun. Not everything. It's just about transmigration, the system, summoning, and basic information about you. Misaka Mikoto smiled. Wu Yan could feel that Misaka Mikoto's tone was more of a consolation than an explanation. It was as if she was teasing a child. However, Wu Yan heaved a sigh of relief. Good, as long as it's not everything, it'll be easy. Looking at Misaka Mikoto, who was fiddling with her bangs, Wu Yan hesitated for a while before saying softly, So, you know that if I die, you'll die too, right? Misaka Mikoto nodded, but Wu Yan frowned. Don't you feel uncomfortable? Like your life is in someone else's hands. Misaka Mikoto stopped fiddling with her bangs and looked at Wu Yan as if nothing had happened. It was as if she could see through his heart. Wu Yan, on the other hand, did not say anything. Instead, he looked straight at Misaka Mikoto. Misaka Mikoto suddenly laughed. Her slightly steady voice started to spread. To be honest, if my life is in someone else's hands, I should feel uncomfortable. However, I don't know why, but I don't feel that way at all. Instead, I feel very close to you. No, that's not right either. It's that, as she spoke, Misaka Mikoto looked around in embarrassment. The more she spoke, the more flustered she became. In the end, she did not know what to say. She paced back and forth, not knowing what to say. Wu Yan, who felt that the atmosphere was a little heavy, suddenly felt embarrassed. How should he put it? What Sis Canon meant was that she felt close to him but felt that it was too ambiguous to say that. That's why she ended up like this. Seeing Wu Yan's embarrassed expression, Misaka Mikoto stomped her feet and shouted, I just feel that it's pitiful that you've transmigrated to an unknown world and have to fight non-stop. That's why I decided to help you. Yes, that's it. It's here. Sis Canon's Tsundra. The real-life version of Sis Canon was acting Tsundra in front of him. Wu Yan's gloominess disappeared without a trace. A smile appeared on his face and it grew bigger with Misaka Mikoto's movements. Wu Yan extended his hand and placed it in front of Misaka Mikoto. He ignored Misaka Mikoto, who was stunned by his actions, and smiled. "From now on I'll call you Mikoto." Mikoto looked at Wu Yan's extended hand and glanced at Wu Yan's smiling face. She turned her head away and placed her hand in Wu Yan's. Don't misunderstand. I'm just doing this for myself. If you die, I'll die too, so I understand. Wu Yan praised in his heart as he squeezed Mikoto's fair hand. For you, I'll try my best to live on. It's good that you understand. Mikoto quickly pulled her hand out and turned around. This guy who summoned me isn't too bad. He regretfully retracted his empty hand, but a smile hung on his face. He was worried that Mikoto would be controlled by the system and obey his orders, but it seems like Misaka Mikoto is still Misaka Mikoto. Due to the fusion of life and death, Mikoto had a preliminary acknowledgement of him. This was also the reason why Mikoto said that she felt close to Wu Yan. After all, her life depended on him. However, it was only a feeling of closeness. It was impossible for him to be worried that Misaka Mikoto would be controlled by the system and forcefully increase her affinity with him. After coming to this conclusion, Wu Yan felt relieved. If the 2D character he liked had feelings for him due to external factors, no matter what, he wouldn't feel good about it. Luckily, the reality is that cis-canon is still cis-canon. Just as Wu Yan was thinking about how to improve his relationship with cis-canon, someone knocked on the door. "Yan, are you there?" "It's Chuju. Wasn't this girl hiding in her room to be shy?" "Coming." Wu Yan glanced at Mikoto, who was also looking towards the door. He gestured for her to wait before opening the door. Wu Yan's face appeared in front of Chuju. Chuju blushed slightly, but she forced herself to remain calm. "I think I heard you talking to someone. Is it a guest?" Chuju poked her head into Wu Yan's room. When she saw Mikoto standing in the room, Chuju's face darkened. "Who is she?" With a bright smile, Wu Yan quickly pulled Chuju into the room. "She's called Mikoto. She's a companion I summoned using the system I told you about before. She'll be coming with us to find the Jade of Heaven. You two should get to know each other." After Wu Yan finished speaking, the room was silent. Chuju's eyes were filled with hostility. It seems that Mikoto's cute appearance made her feel threatened. Mikoto's eyes were filled with confusion. She didn't understand why the person in front of her was looking at her like that. Looking at the two of them staring at each other, Wu Yan's heart started to beat faster. This won't suddenly start a fight. Suddenly, Chuju's and Mikoto's eyes lit up at the same time. Then they smiled at the same time. Chuju waved her hand in a friendly manner. "Hello, I'm Katsura Hinajuku, just call me Hinajuku." Mikoto also had a smile on her face. "Hello, I'm Misaka Mikoto. You're Chuju, right? You can also call me Mikoto." The two of them shook hands like sisters. In their eyes there was also appreciation for each other. This sudden change stunned Wu Yan. When he noticed that they would occasionally glance at each other's breasts, Wu Yan felt awkward again. Chapter 32. It was the same as Wu Yan's original plan, but also different. Similarly, the two sisters got along very well. After the introductions, Wu Yan was tossed aside and the two of them occupied Wu Yan's bed to chat. When it was time to sleep, they even laid down in the same room. From an outsider's point of view, they are closer than real sisters, but from Wu Yan's point of view, they are more like Yuri girls. What's different is that the reason why the two can get along so well isn't the same as what Wu Yan initially thought. It's not because they have the same cuteness, but because they have the same body type. This made Wu Yan curse in his heart. Summoning Mikoto cost him 70,000 summoning points. Wu Yan only had 11,000 summoning points left. It wasn't that he didn't have cheap girls, but Wu Yan had already decided on his next summon, so now was the time to save up. Of course, the 70,000 summoning points weren't spent for nothing. At first, Wu Yan didn't pay attention to cis-canon's level, but when he did, character, Misaka Mikoto ability, Electromancer, Self-Revive, Strength, C Endurance, C Agility, B Spirit, A Equipment, None level, 68. After Wu Yan summoned Mikoto, Wu Yan's status appeared under Wu Yan's status in the system. When he saw the level of Mikoto's character status, he stayed in his clicking position for a while. Level 68. Tier 7. No wonder she was one of the top espers in a world full of magic and superpowers. Even though she wasn't the strongest esper in the Forbidden World, as the third strongest esper in the Forbidden World, Mikoto's strength was second only to the strongest esper in the Forbidden World. The highest level Wu Yan had seen before was only level 60, which was Fei Fei's level. Now it was Mikoto's turn. With Mikoto, Wu Yan didn't know if he could find the jade of the Heavenly Palace on this trip, but he was sure it would be safe. In a faraway area in the south there was a cliff. No one knew how high the cliff was and no one had ever tried it on themselves. This place was desolate and uninhabited. Usually no one would want to come here, but today a helicopter suddenly flew over from the top of the cliff. The helicopter flew straight down the cliff, bringing along a violent whistling sound. About 2 or 3 minutes later, it landed on an inconspicuous protruding rock and stopped at the edge of the cliff. As the helicopter's engine stopped, the helicopter's door was opened by a hand. Then 5 people came out, 1 male, 3 females and a driver. The Heron Palace's ceiling barrier wasn't actually in the Heron Palace. Instead it was on the edge of a cliff. In order to prevent people from entering and leaving the location of the ceiling barrier and accidentally touching the barrier and causing irreversible consequences, the Heron Palace had spent a large amount of resources and manpower to open the barrier on the edge of the cliff. Ever since that unlucky Heron Palace's house master met with an accident, this place was completely forbidden. Because it was a cliff, no one would come here. So, no one had come here for at least 100 years. No one had even come to the top of the cliff, let alone come to this protruding rock on the edge of the cliff. Is this the entrance to the ceiling barrier? Raising his head, Wu Yan looked inside the rocky outcropping. There was a huge hole there. The hole flickered with a fluorescent light that couldn't be seen if one didn't get close. Yes, there's a barrier set up by our Heron Palace's ancestors in the hole and on the hole. All of the captured monsters will be thrown into the hole and locked up. Yi Cheng's mother answered casually on the side, then continued to look at Mikoto. How could Yi Cheng's mother not be interested when such a little girl suddenly appeared and wanted to follow Wu Yan into the barrier to find the jade of the Heavenly Palace? Moreover, it was impossible for Wu Yan to not know how dangerous it was inside, yet he didn't object. Yi Cheng's mother didn't believe that Wu Yan would let a little girl go in and throw away her life. Then there was only one explanation. This little girl had a bit of strength. I wonder who is more outstanding between Yi Cheng and me. There was a little girl about the same age as her daughter who also had a bit of mysterious power. Yi Cheng's mother couldn't help but compare Mikoto to Yi Cheng. However, what she didn't know was that Yi Cheng couldn't be compared to Mikoto. After all, the two came from different worlds. In terms of talent, one was born with spiritual power that could rival a veteran spirit master, while the other was a LV5 Esper. The difference in talent could be said to be not that big. It's just that different worlds would cause them to develop in different ways. Butler Whirlwind is a world with very few mysteries, while the Magic Forbidden World has magic, superpowers, angels and saints. Among the worlds that Wu Yan knows of, this world's mysteries are at the top. Butler Whirlwind's world is not something that can be compared to it. Mystery couldn't be compared in front of a higher-level mystery. Mikoto, who grew up in a higher-level mystery world, was naturally much stronger than Yi Cheng, who grew up in a lower-level mystery world. At this time, Wu Yan was staring at the cave in front of him. Other than the faint flickering light, it was no different from any other cave. However, the constant warning from the system almost made Wu Yan faint. One must know that the system's warning only sounded when there was a less than 10% chance of winning a battle. Just like when Wu Yan had just transmigrated when he fought a LV0 wind snake. Wu Yan had heard this warning the most when he was in the Behemoth Forest. With it, Wu Yan had avoided countless dangers that he couldn't win. And now, the system's warning sounded again. This time it sounded no less than 10 times. In other words, there were at least 10 Wu Yans in this cave that had a less than 10% chance of winning against demons and ghosts. The tragedy was that Wu Yan couldn't avoid it. Instead, he had to charge in. Of course, if Mikoto was to act, there shouldn't be a problem. The only problem was whether or not Wu Yan would let her. Wu Yan turned around. Then Madam of the Heron Palace will go in first. Yi Cheng's mother stopped looking at Mikoto. She took out a tattered talisman and handed it to Wu Yan. Be careful. The food we brought is only enough to last us a week. If you don't come out in a week, then you don't have to wait for us. Wu Yan said with a smile. He took the talisman from Yi Cheng's mother and flipped it over. He held it in his hand and looked at Mikoto. Mikoto, are you ready? That. Mikoto pushed away a certain object that fell on her body and helplessly shook her head. You might have to wait a little longer. I told you didn't have to come, but you insisted on coming. Wu Yan looked at the object and said to Wu Yan. Maybe Mikoto's actions woke him up, or maybe Wu Yan's words woke him up. He tried his best to straighten his body, but his face is still ashen. His lips have turned completely white and his eyes are rolling around in a way that would make anyone feel uncomfortable just by looking at him. I said, I'll come, don't even think about leaving me behind. Chuju tried to move her lips but she couldn't. He could only give up. One of her hands was still on Mikoto's body. She used all her strength to support herself. You know you have acrophobia but you still forced yourself to come. Aren't you just looking for trouble? Chuju didn't look like she wanted to give up. Wu Yan could only smile bitterly. Who doesn't know that Kaisha-sama has acrophobia? Oh, it's nothing big deal. Let's go. Chuju's eyelids were about to close but she still said to Wu Yan intermittently. Seems like it's impossible for her to give up. Yi Cheng's mother turned a blind eye to Chuju's acrophobia. More accurately, she found it amusing to see Chuju's unlucky face. She just smiled at her. All right, let's go. Hinajuku stuttered as she supported Mikoto to prevent herself from collapsing to the ground. After all, they're on a high ground and below them is a cliff. Sighing, Wu Yan raised his hand that was holding the talisman at the entrance of the cave. The fluorescent light at the entrance started getting brighter and brighter. The talisman in Wu Yan's hand started rippling with visible ripples. When the ripples met with the fluorescent light, the ripples from the talisman pierced a hole in the fluorescent light. When the hole was big enough for one person to pass through, the ripples from the talisman stopped. Wu Yan couldn't help but smile at this. He put the talisman in his space ring and said to Mikoto, Let's go, Mikoto. I'll have to trouble you to take care of Chuju. I can do it. The weak voice was ignored by the two. They waved at Yi Cheng's mother and the two entered the cave together with the limp thing. Be careful. Yi Cheng's mother couldn't help but shout. What she got in return was a swinging arm. After the three entered the cave, the fluorescent light at the cave entrance slowly closed. The light dimmed and the cave returned to its original state. The cave entrance was huge but the inside was even bigger. Wu Yan's group was currently walking in a huge tunnel. The deeper they went, the wider the tunnel became. At the end, the walls on both sides of Wu Yan's group were already 50 meters away from them. As the tunnel got wider and wider, there were no other sounds besides their footsteps. Mikoto couldn't help but ask, Didn't you say there were a lot of demons and ghosts? Why aren't there any? Turning his head, Wu Yan saw Mikoto's calm face. However, Wu Yan wasn't looking at her face but the sweat that was quietly flowing down her forehead. Wu Yan was also puzzled. After all, according to Yi Cheng's mother, there should be a lot of powerful demons and ghosts here. Wu Yan's group had been walking for almost 10 minutes. Let alone demons, they didn't even see a ghost. However, this didn't affect Wu Yan's mood to tease the girl. Curling his lips, Wu Yan looked at Mikoto who was pretending to be calm and directly said, If you're scared, just tell me. Mikoto, I won't laugh at you. Mikoto stopped and looked at Wu Yan fiercely. She bit her lips. I'm not scared. Something comes out, it's good. I'll definitely electrocute it into charcoal. As if to prove her words, sparks of electricity flashed on Mikoto's forehead. Blue arcs of electricity appeared around her body, adding light to the dark cave. Unfortunately, Mikoto forgot that she wasn't the only one on her body. Chuju, who was lying on Mikoto's body, was electrocuted. Chuju, who was originally lifeless, jumped up from the shock. Sorry Chuju. Are you okay? Chuju chuckled and gasped for breath. I'm fine. Actually, I'm a lot better. After being electrocuted by you. Mikoto laughed dryly. The speechless Wu Yan could only choose to pretend he didn't see anything and continued walking. Mikoto and Chuju quickly followed. The two of them tacitly held each other's hands. Alright, Kaisha-sama is also very afraid of demons and ghosts. Chapter 33. When Wu Yan, Mikoto and Chuju first entered the cave, it was completely dark. They could only see each other. However, as Wu Yan and the other two went deeper into the cave, It became brighter and brighter. Even though it was still not as bright as day, at least the three of them could see things effortlessly. Looking around, Wu Yan didn't see anything that could shine. In a world without any mysteries, this strange situation could only be blamed on the ghosts. But in this place, it could only be blamed on the demons and ghosts. The two girls who were usually so bold were now cowering behind Wu Yan. Even the level 68 cis cannon looked scared. Only when Wu Yan turned around did she quickly straighten her face. She didn't know that all her actions were seen by Wu Yan. So even if she was strong, a little girl was still a little girl. Walking in the quiet tunnel, the three of them didn't speak. There were many demons in this cave. Even if they didn't do anything, it was better to avoid alerting the enemy. When they entered the cave, Wu Yan took out his Kusanagi sword. He wasn't confident that he would have the time to retrieve his sword under the attacks of the demons. At this time, Wu Yan activated the detection function of the system. As long as something appeared in front of him, even if it was invisible, the detection function would be able to find it. "Hey Yan, do you think the monsters here are all dead? After all, it's been so long," Chuju said to Wu Yan. Perhaps she couldn't stand the atmosphere. "That's impossible," Wu Yan said with certainty. "Although I don't know if these demons and ghosts are immortal like the legends say, their lifespan is definitely much longer than us humans. Even if we die, they might still be alive. Plus, Madame Heron said that there are many demons here. If that's the case, there must be females as well. Then they can reproduce. If that's the case, why haven't we seen any demons or ghosts?" Although Mikoto was summoned for less than a day, the system had already passed on some necessary knowledge to her. Compared to the unbelievable system, demons and ghosts weren't something she couldn't accept. However, as a 14-year-old girl, accepting demons and ghosts didn't mean she wasn't afraid. Well, although Sis Cannon always acted fearless in front of Wu Yan, she wouldn't be called Sundra Cannon if she wasn't Sundra. "That's what I thought too, up until just now." Wu Yan stopped in his tracks. Mikoto and Hinajiku couldn't help but be surprised. They looked around vigilantly with fear in their eyes. What's wrong?" Chuju gulped and asked nervously. Wu Yan turned around with a puzzled look on his face. "Wait." Wu Yan waved his hand and looked left and right. He frowned and lowered his head. Phew. Just as Wu Yan lowered his head, a light breeze blew in from nowhere and gently caressed the trio. It lifted Wu Yan's hair and lifted Chuju's and Mikoto's skirts. Wu Yan, Chuju and Mikoto were facing each other. Wu Yan's head was also lowered, so when the wind lifted Chuju and Mikoto's skirts, Wu Yan's eyes were on them. Two pairs of safety pants, one white and one black, appeared in front of Wu Yan's eyes. Wu Yan's eyes widened as he kept his head down. Looking at the two pairs of safety pants in front of him, Wu Yan's face was full of shock. Although they were usually very tomboyish, they were still girls. When their skirts were blown up, no girl wouldn't feel embarrassed. The two of them exclaimed at the same time and pressed down on their skirts. Then they looked at Wu Yan with reddened faces. "You didn't see it right, Yan." A crystal sword appeared in Chuju's hand. Chuju looked at Wu Yan with an unfriendly gaze. As long as Wu Yan shamelessly said that he saw it, Chuju would cut him in half. After all, she had seen Wu Yan's shamelessness more than once. For example, last time when she was seen naked. Feeling Chuju's gaze, Wu Yan's head shook like a rattle drum. Beep beep beep. A burst of electric spark sounded. A blue light flashed, making Wu Yan's shaking motion freeze. Like a robot, he turned his head to the other side. "Don't tell me you purposely stopped because of something like this." Mikoto lowered her head, her forehead flashed with electric sparks. Her voice was so cold that it almost froze Wu Yan. No wonder Mikoto thought that way. After all, the angle and timing of Wu Yan's head was too perfect. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this point. This is just an accident. It really was an accident. The heavens pity him. This time Wu Yan really spoke the truth. Looking at the two girls who were like kegs of gunpowder, Wu Yan's heart was full of tears. Mikoto was fine. Even though she was wearing safety pants, she didn't spread it around. But what's going on with Chuju? In the original work, when they first met Seo Ayasaki, didn't Chuju take the initiative to take off her skirt to prove that she was wearing safety pants? Why is it that if it's me, I can't even look at safety pants? This doesn't make sense. Don't try to guess a girl's thoughts. Looking at Mikoto and Hinajiku's increasingly unfriendly faces, He quickly raised his hand to stop them from flipping out. He then said in a grief-stricken voice, "Wait, please listen to my last words. What else do you have to say?" The two girls said in unison. "If I say I didn't do it on purpose, would you believe me?" Looking at Chuju and Mikoto with a bitter smile, Wu Yan gave his final explanation. "Then tell me, why did you stop?" Chuju stopped Mikoto, who was about to electrocute Wu Yan, and said to Wu Yan in a bad mood. Looking at Chuju with gratitude, Wu Yan only got a cold humph. Wu Yan coughed and quickly became serious. "The reason I stopped is because I found out that we've already been here before." The two girls were stunned. Even Chuju, who didn't expect Wu Yan to give an explanation, was the same. She thought that Wu Yan really wanted to see the scenery under their skirt, so he purposely acted mysterious. She didn't expect Wu Yan to say this. It can be seen that Wu Yan has a very good impression in Kaisha-sama's mind. This place? Chuju turned her head and looked around. "We've been here before?" Mikoto also stopped using her powers and looked around. She then exchanged a look with Hinajiku. Both of them had the same blank look in their eyes. Wu Yan shook his head. It's no wonder they couldn't find out. Other than the rock walls and rocks, there's nothing else. Things that can be used as a reference are very few, and things that can attract people's attention are even rarer. If it wasn't for Wu Yan's perfect memory ability, he probably wouldn't have found out either. "Have we really been here before? I didn't notice anything." Mikoto twisted her face and looked at Wu Yan. But Wu Yan didn't answer Mikoto. Instead, he turned to Chuju. "Chuju, did you forget my memory? It's impossible for me to remember wrongly." Seeing Mikoto's confused expression, Chuju nodded. "Yes, Yan won't remember wrongly. His memory is exceptionally good. He can remember everything he saw once. Since he said we've been here before, it must be true. You saw it once and you remembered it." Mikoto looked at Wu Yan in surprise. "That's already in the category of ability, right?" As expected of Sis Canon, LV5 doesn't make you stupid. She instantly saw through Wu Yan's perfect memory ability. "So you're saying we're lost?" Chuju said with uncertainty. "You can't say we're lost." Wu Yan raised his hand to refute. "You should say we're in a maze." "Maze?" The two girls looked at Wu Yan in surprise. "Yes." Wu Yan walked to the wall and patted it. "Have you forgotten? Ever since we entered this cave, we've been walking on the same path. There's no fork in the road. How could we be lost?" "So you're saying?" Chuju said in a low voice. "We've been walking in circles." Mikoto saw through the situation. "Yes." Wu Yan opened his system list. "I think this is a tunnel with very little distortion. The tunnel is in a circle. Ever since we came in, we've been walking around it. Because the distortion is very small and the tunnel is very big, we didn't notice anything." "Is that so?" Chuju lowered her head and pondered. "Of course. Otherwise, do you really think I stopped because I wanted to look at 2 pairs of safety pants that have nothing to look at?" Of course, Wu Yan swallowed the last sentence back into his stomach. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have the chance to fight for his life. He might as well just die. "Then what do we do now? Turn around and go back?" Mikoto asked. Although she's quite smart, but at this time the man should make the decision. "No." Wu Yan shook his head. "Even if we turn around, we probably won't be able to get out." Chuju and Mikoto looked at Wu Yan. "Why?" Wu Yan smiled bitterly. "Do you even need to say it? After we entered the cave, we circled around it. However, after circling around it, did you see the entrance of the cave when we came in?" Mikoto and Chuju froze. "That's right, after walking around we should be able to see the exit. Could it be?" Chuju shrunk her head. "Is this the legendary ghost wall?" "It can't be." Mikoto, who was still frowning and pondering, suddenly didn't know what to do after hearing Chuju's words. She laughed dryly. Rolling his eyes at the two girls who are still scaring him, Wu Yan deeply felt that if he wanted to rely on the two of them, he would really have to go around the ghost wall for the rest of his life. Seeing Wu Yan shaking his hands, Chuju asked, "And what are you doing? Have you thought of a way?" Compared to Chuju, Mikoto curiously stretched her head and leaned in front of Wu Yan. "This is the system?" Wu Yan paused and looked at Mikoto in surprise. He pointed at the system list. "Can you see the system list?" "Oh." Mikoto nodded. "I can see it, it's right in front of you." "System? That's the system you were talking about? Why can't I see anything?" Chuju kept looking left and right but still couldn't see anything. Wu Yan tapped his chin. Looks like as my summon you can also see the system. Then Mikoto, can you use the system? No. Mikoto answered without hesitation. Although it's very cool and interesting, but I can't use the system, I can only see it. Why can you all see it but I can't? Chuju was dissatisfied. Wu Yan and Mikoto's actions gave her the feeling of two people's secret. And the subject wasn't her. This made her very unhappy. How is it? Do you have a way? Seeing Wu Yan fiddling with the system, Mikoto asked. Wu Yan chuckled. He flipped his hand and a compass appeared in his hand. Chapter 34. What is this? It's a double-sided needle that's no different from a compass. But if it's something exchanged from the mysterious system, it shouldn't be anything ordinary. At least that's what Chuju thinks. Could this compass help us find the exit? Mikoto pointed at the compass in Wu Yan's hand and said with a smile. Even though she knows about the system and can see the list, but she doesn't know anything about the system. If it wasn't for the fact that it's in Wu Yan's hand, she might even have the mood to look at it. Shaking the compass in his hand, Wu Yan looked at Mikoto speechlessly. Are you sure you're not mistaken? We're going in, not out. Mikoto flinched and awkwardly scratched her head. Then what's the use of it? Is it just to find the exit? You guessed right. Wu Yan shook his head with a smile. He raised the compass and said, this is a special compass. Normal compasses can only point south, but this compass can guide the user in the direction of concepts such as enter. So mystical. Hinajuku looked at the compass with interest. She's heard Wu Yan talk about the mystical things in the system, but this is the first time she's seen it in action. Other than the summoning, she's never seen with her own eyes. Let's give it a try. Mikoto was also curious. Even though there are many strange things in Academy City, but in that world full of science and technology, everything can be explained by science. She's never seen an item that uses concepts as its driving force. As a 14-year-old girl, it's normal for her to be curious about new things. This means that she's still at the age where she likes to play. I'm already using it. As soon as he said that, the compass in Wu Yan's hand floated up into the air. It gurgled and spun twice before shooting in a certain direction. Hinajuku and Mikoto were stunned as they looked at the compass that was shot out in surprise. This compass can lead the way automatically? Chuju pointed in the direction where the compass flew, her mouth wide open. Shouldn't the so-called compass only have a finger? How could Hinajuku, who was still living in a normal world a month ago, not be surprised when she learned how to lead the way? Looks like it's going to be fun. Let's catch up. Mikoto excitedly clenched her fist and said. Then she took a step forward and ran away without waiting for Chuju and Wu Yan. Wait. Chuju quickly chased after them. Attracted by the novel items, the fear in the hearts of the two women had more or less disappeared. Wu Yan chased after them with a wry smile. For the sake of this fun, I spent 1,000 item points on it. In the passageway that wasn't too dark and had a bit of light, the three of them immediately started running, chasing after the compass that had been shot in front of them. The chaotic sound of their footsteps spread far and wide in the wide passageway, bringing about echoes of their footsteps. Until a certain moment, the compass flying in front of Wu Yan's group suddenly stopped and pointed in a certain direction. Wu Yan's group quickly stopped. Chuju looked at the walls and rocks around them and asked doubtfully, Is there a path here? I don't see anything. Is that compass okay? Mikoto pointed at it. It seems to be pointing at a wall. Wu Yan nodded. He was a bit confused. After thinking for a while, he raised his head and looked at the wall that the compass was pointing at. His eyes flashed with a complicated light. Wall. Level 20. Wu Yan's face fell. A wall has a level. How is that possible? If a wall has a level, then Buddha's golden statue's level should be heaven-defying. The only explanation is that this isn't a wall but a monster. Moreover, it's a monster called a wall. It looks like a wall and can block people. Isn't this a scam? Such a monster was standing there, yet they had not discovered it along the way. Why hadn't the system detected it just now? Actually, it wasn't Wu Yan's fault. The main thing was that Wu Yan didn't pay attention to the wall. He didn't have the habit of looking at the wall. The system's detection function only detects things within sight. Naturally, it didn't detect anything. What's wrong? Mikoto immediately asked when she saw Wu Yan's expression change. Pointing at the monster called a wall, Wu Yan weakly said. That should be the entrance, Chuju frowned. Where is the entrance? That's clearly a wall. Ha! Wu Yan sighed and waved his hand. That is indeed the entrance. It's just that the monster is blocking it. Monster. Chuju's body trembled and nervously said. Monster, where is it? That's why. Rubbing his forehead, Wu Yan rolled his eyes. That wall is the monster that's blocking the way. Wall. The two girls were stunned. You're saying that the wall looks like a wall but it's actually not a wall. It's a monster that looks like a wall? Mikoto's mouth twitched. She felt that this was ridiculous. Everyone has heard of monsters, but this is the first time someone said that a wall is a monster. Looking at the two girls in disbelief, Wu Yan didn't say anything. He pulled out his Kusanagi sword and slashed at the wall. Logically speaking, if it was a normal wall, then with Wu Yan's strength, this slash should have shattered the wall into pieces. But now there's a huge wound on the wall. Roar, a huge roar came from the wall. Rather than a roar, it's more like a cry of pain. The sound reverberated throughout the tunnel, causing a violent echo. Hinagiku and Mikoto looked at the wall in horror and screamed. The sudden sound, and such a loud one at that, really scared them out of their wits. The tunnel started to shake. Some stones fell from above. Wu Yan quickly retreated to Mikoto and Chuju's side and looked at the wall. The shaking slowly weakened until it stopped. The strange situation made Mikoto and Chuju nervous. They didn't say anything and just pulled on Wu Yan's clothes. Wu Yan was speechless. Although she's strong and Mikoto is stronger than him, she's still young. Afraid of monsters. Suddenly the wall that Wu Yan slashed started to wriggle like a piece of pudding. Under the gaze of Wu Yan and the others, the wall broke away and slowly floated in front of Wu Yan and the others. The wriggling speed became more violent. Two huge rocks seemed to have been shaken off from the wall and fell to the ground, creating two more holes in the wall. A crack split open under the two holes and a strange cry came out from the crack. It was clearly an eye and a mouth. Finally, a bit like a monster. Wu Yan said with a bit of relief. Compared to Wu Yan's relief, Mikoto and Chuju hugged each other tightly. They looked at the wall that turned into a human face with tears in their eyes. Roar, the wall roared, turned in the air and slammed towards Wu Yan and the others. Get out of the way. Wu Yan yelled and he quickly dodged to the side. Mikoto and Hinagiku reacted quickly and dodged in a fluster. The wall brushed past Wu Yan and the others. It didn't slow down and slammed into the wall behind them. It shook its body twice, turned around and continued to slam towards the three. Dodging the wall again, Wu Yan raised his long sword. Mikoto's body started to flash with electricity. It was normal for a girl to be afraid of a demon. But Mikoto was a level 68 ranker, and she was usually very tomboyish. So, after the initial fear, she was able to quickly adjust herself when she saw a real demon. The unknown is the scariest. Mikoto showed this very well. Hinagiku, on the other hand, still had a frightened look on her face. After all, she was most afraid of ghosts, and demons were also included in this category. Wu Yan's eyes were fixed on the wall. But Wu Yan kept an eye on Chuju so that he could support her at any time. It's not that Wu Yan didn't care about Mikoto. Mikoto's strength was many times stronger than his. He didn't need to worry about her. But Chuju was the weakest of the three. If something were to happen to her, Chuju wouldn't be able to revive. After all, she wasn't Wu Yan's summon. As expected, Chuju couldn't do anything about these supernatural items. Wu Yan sighed in his heart. He raised his sword and rushed towards the wall. Since Chuju was afraid of these things, then it's better to get rid of her quickly. She's only level 20 anyway. The wall had used charge on Wu Yan's group and was dodged by Wu Yan's group. Right now the wall was still in a charging position, preparing to ram into the wall like last time. But Wu Yan quickly rushed behind the wall and cut off a corner of the wall. Before the wall could cry out in pain, Wu Yan crouched down on the ground. A blue electric current flashed past Wu Yan's head and hit the wall, slamming it into the wall. It's not over yet. Mikoto waved her hands and two similar electric currents shot out from her forehead. One after the other they hit the wall, causing two huge explosions and a large amount of rubble to fly everywhere. Standing up and patting the dirt off his body, Wu Yan shook his head. Why didn't you just let me hack you to death? Great, now you're being whipped by a violent girl. Is it dead? Chuju took 2 steps back and asked weakly. Wu Yan couldn't help but smile bitterly. He already said don't come if you're afraid. Should be dead. Mikoto said casually as she brushed her bangs. It was as if the wall wasn't a monster but a hooligan that she usually taught a lesson to. Looking at Mikoto who brushed her bangs, Wu Yan ridiculed in his heart. I wonder who was the one who was scared to death just now. While Wu Yan was ridiculing, Mikoto was acting cool and Chuju was feeling uneasy. An explosion sounded. Instantly, debris flew everywhere. The 3 of them were shocked. Wu Yan swung his sword and deflected the debris. Mikoto stood in place. Her body flashed with electric currents again. The moment the debris came into contact with her body, it turned into dust. As the debris was continuously deflected, the wall that had shrunk suddenly rushed out and crashed into Chuju. Wu Yan and Mikoto were shocked. They wanted to help Chuju, but who knew? Looking at the wall that was about to crash into her, the fear on Chuju's face became deeper and deeper. Just as she was about to be hit, the fear on her face suddenly collapsed. Don't come over. With a broken expression, Hinajuku smashed the wall to the ground with a single punch. With a clench of her fist, the crystal sword White Cherry appeared in her hand. She continued to smash the wall with all her might. Don't come over, don't come over, don't come over, don't come over, don't come over. Looking at the wall that was getting smaller and smaller under Chuju's relentless attacks, Wu Yan and Mikoto couldn't help but take a step back at the same time. The 2 of them looked at each other and laughed dryly. They had the same thought in their eyes. Chuju is someone that they definitely can't mess with. Chapter 35. Even if he didn't do it himself, Wu Yan is sure that the monster named Wall is also a wall. It's dead as can be. Under Chuju's merciless attacks, the monster's 3 to 4 meter tall body was already shattered into a pile of rocks. However, Chuju's attacks didn't stop. Chuju's eyes were tightly shut as she swung White Cherry around. She kept yelling and smashing the ground as if the ground had a grudge against her. Wu Yan and Mikoto have been watching Chuju's actions for nearly 5 minutes. They were originally a little afraid of Chuju going crazy, but now that fear has completely turned into shame. Wu Yan felt that if this continued, even if Kaishisama didn't get tired, he and Mikoto would get tired of watching. So it's better to stop her. Wu Yan had the most fake smile on his face. He pointed at the crater that appeared under Chuju's attacks. That piece of wall is already broken, don't hit it anymore. Chuju stopped smashing the wall. Panting heavily, she looked at Wu Yan with a scared expression on her face. She stuttered. Is it dead? Looking at Chuju, who still hasn't recovered from her state, Wu Yan started to doubt whether bringing Chuju here was the right choice. This is only the first demon they encountered, and Hinajuku is already showing signs of going berserk. What's more, there's bound to be hordes and hordes of demons coming their way. When that happens, thinking of this, Wu Yan shuddered. It's already dead. So, Chuju, don't hit it anymore. It's clear that even LVL5 and LVL68 Mikoto is afraid of Kaishisama going berserk. Dead. Dead. Chuju slowly lowered her head and looked at the ground that she smashed. Other than a meter-wide crater, there was nothing left. The wall monster also died who knows where. It died just like that. There's nothing to be afraid of. Haha. Chuju breathed a sigh of relief. The white cherry blossom in her hand scattered. She panted a few times and put her hands on her waist. She laughed dryly. That smile was as fake as it could be. The 2 onlookers felt that it's best not to interrupt Chuju's performance. Wu Yan decided to ignore Chuju and walked to the hole that appeared when the wall broke away. Inside the hole was a much smaller passage. The passage didn't extend inwards but downwards instead. It looked like a slide. The surface of the passage was very smooth. It seems that it's possible to slide down directly. This should be the correct passage. Mikoto walked to Wu Yan's side and looked at the slide-like passage. After seeing a monster, Mikoto's fear of monsters has completely disappeared. It should be. Wu Yan said with uncertainty. Since the concept compass is pointing here, then this should be the passage that leads deeper into the seal. Then, should we go down? Mikoto asked. Next, it's going to be really dangerous. Wu Yan tightened his grip on the Kusanagi sword. Hesitation, fear, or excitement? Looking at the complicated emotions in Wu Yan's eyes, Mikoto couldn't help but say, "Don't worry, I'm with you." Wu Yan turned to look at Mikoto. He stared at Mikoto until her face turned red and her eyes drifted away. Don't misunderstand. I'm only doing this for myself. As for myself. If you die, I'll die too." Wu Yan laughed. His laughter made Mikoto's face redden even more. Before Mikoto could act like a tsundere again, Wu Yan said solemnly, "Yes, thank you, Mikoto." Mikoto was stunned. She humphed and turned her head away without saying anything. "Don't forget about me. I'll help too." The voice behind them made Wu Yan and Mikoto's body stiffen. Both of them giggled like idiots. Hinajuku walked over with a face full of dissatisfaction. There's even a hint of jealousy in her eyes. Even though she was out of line for a bit, she still saw the interaction between Wu Yan and Mikoto. However, she didn't glare at Mikoto. Instead, she glared at Wu Yan like she's looking at a big heartless rat. Scratching his face, Wu Yan smiled at Chuju. This made Chuju even more dissatisfied. Better to change the topic. With that in mind, Wu Yan quickly turned back to look at the passage. "Okay, let's go." Wu Yan jumped into the passage and slid down. "Let's go down as well, Chuju," Mikoto said, and slid down as well. Chuju stood at the entrance and watched the two leave. She looked around and saw that there was no one around. He quickly followed them. The passage wasn't very long. After a while, Wu Yan saw the exit of the slide. He slid down quickly. A sense of discomfort came over him. Wu Yan quickly adjusted his posture. He looked down and saw that he was in midair. The ground was at least 10 meters away from him. Wu Yan was shocked when he realized that he was in midair. He quickly adjusted his posture and stood firmly on the ground. "Ah!" A scream came from above. Wu Yan looked up and saw a creature named Misaka Mikoto falling down on his head. Her skirt fluttered and her safety pants were exposed. Wu Yan was stunned. He quickly reached out and caught her. "I'm going to faint. How did you fall down? I thought you could use electromagnetic force to stick to the wall?" Wu Yan was speechless as he looked at the girl in his arms. Being carried like a princess by Wu Yan, Mikoto's face couldn't help but redden. I didn't make it in time. She needs training. This is the consequence of not having any combat experience. Even though Mikoto was LV5, she hadn't fought a single real battle yet. Those fights weren't called battles, they were called sparring sessions. Was that why she couldn't maintain a good battle mentality and react in time under any circumstances? Wait. If Mikoto fell down, that means... Hinajuku shrieked as well, startling the two who are having an affair. Wu Yan put Mikoto down and caught Hinajuku in the same way before opening his dead fish eyes. "I really don't know if I'm suffering or enjoying," helplessly putting down Chuju, who was still in a state of shock. Wu Yan picked up the Kusanagi sword he threw on the ground and looked at the two girls. "Come on, can you be a little more alert? If I didn't catch you, you'd probably fall to your death from a height of 10 meters. Under Wu Yan's helpless and teasing gaze, the two girls lowered their heads like defeated roosters. Then they raised their heads again and refuted loudly. "What, I just didn't react in time. Next time I'll definitely..." By Mikoto. Yeah, you just didn't react in time. How dare you teach us a lesson after taking advantage of us. By Chuju. Too damned, Sundra, even though I like it. Suddenly a strong wind blew, causing the three of them to be stunned. Wu Yan quickly reacted and hugged Chuju and dodged to the side with Mikoto. A shadow flashed past where they were standing and stopped. "What is that?" Mikoto exclaimed while Wu Yan was still hugging Chuju. Wu Yan quickly looked up and saw a werewolf monster standing there. Its green eyes were staring at them and saliva was dripping from its mouth as if it was looking at a delicious meal. "Big Wolf Demon. Level 30." Wu Yan's expression turned serious. Level 30 in the Heron Palace, only I Ching can reach this level of strength. Now, a random wolf demon that came out of nowhere is already level 30. No wonder the Heron Palace's people died one after another when they came in. This is a werewolf. Lying in Wu Yan's arms, Chuju ignored her embarrassment and looked at the werewolf in shock. Demons are really strange. One moment it's a wall, the next it's a werewolf. Mikoto actually started complaining. "Come on, is this the time to complain? Although this wolf demon is nothing to you, it's just that you don't need to worry about it. Do you want to go or should I?" Mikoto said to Wu Yan with an excited expression. For this competitive girl, being able to fight was indeed something to be excited about. At first she was afraid of demons, so she didn't show this excitement. Let me go. This wolf demon is not for you to fight. Putting down Chuju, Wu Yan raised his sword and pointed it at the wolf demon. Even though Makoto could take care of the big wolf demon in a matter of seconds, and even if Makoto did manage to take it down, he would still gain experience. But if he had to hand over a monster that he can handle himself to someone else, he doesn't think he's going to become a real strong person. Wu. At the same time that Wu Yan rushed towards the wolf demon also howled and rushed towards Wu Yan on all fours. Under Wu Yan's narrowed eyes, the wolf demon clawed down. In a hurry, Wu Yan raised his sword and blocked the wolf demon's claw attack. A huge force passed through the sword and sent Wu Yan flying. Wu Yan's body swayed and pressed his hand on the ground. Then with a push he appeared in front of the wolf demon and stabbed his sword towards the wolf demon's eyeball. Ding! A hard feeling came. Wu Yan's sword stabbed the wolf demon's claw. Then the wolf demon grabbed the sword in its hand. Wu Yan's face turned serious. With a twist of his hands, the sword spun rapidly. The friction between the sword and the wolf demon's claw created sparks. Ouch! The wolf demon cried out in pain and let go of Wu Yan's Kusanagi sword. Wu Yan held the sword in his hand again and kicked the wolf demon away. Tizong. Yan. Chuju muttered as she watched the battle nervously. Not bad. If I have time, I must fight him once. If Wu Yan knew that he was targeted by the violent cis cannon, what kind of expression would he have? After being kicked away by Wu Yan, the big wolf's green eyes turned a bit red. It howled in a frenzy and left a trail of afterimages as it appeared in front of Wu Yan and swiped at him with its claws. Raising his sword to block, he clenched his teeth and managed to stop his body that was almost sent flying again. The wolf demon was strong and fast. If not for his slower reaction, he would have lost. The veins on his arm bulged, indicating that Wu Yan had used 120% of his strength. Although Wu Yan stopped himself from flying, he was still weaker than the wolf demon. Wu Yan's body was constantly pushed back, leaving 2 marks on the ground. Wu Yan tightened his grip on the sword hilt and used all his strength to stop his body from retreating. He raised his head and looked at the wolf demon's ferocious face. The wolf demon's saliva almost dripped onto his body. Wu Yan's eyes shot out a cold glare. I can't win in terms of strength and speed. A protracted battle is disadvantageous for me. I'll finish it in one go. A circle of white light flashed on the blade of the Kusanagi sword. The surrounding atmosphere began to fluctuate. Wu Yan smiled and shouted. Chaotic returned to Horizon Dance. The white light turned into an arc and the great chi turned into a sharp blade. The arc hit the wolf demon's body, creating a loud boom. Chapter 36. The arc-shaped chaotic return to Horizon Dance hit the big wolf demon's body. The big wolf demon let out a howl of pain, blood splattered everywhere. The arc-shaped sword pierced through the big wolf demon's body and took away one of its wolf claws. Ah! Seeing such a bloody scene, the 2 girls let out a scream at the same time. Before Chuju met Wu Yan, she was just an ordinary student. Although it's not like she hasn't seen blood from killing chickens, fish, or sports injuries, but seeing such a bloody scene, Chuju couldn't help but feel a little scared. As for Makoto, although she was second only to the strongest in the magic forbidden world, she was like a flower in a greenhouse. She lived in the bright side of Academy City and studied at Tokuwadai where the milady studied. She really hasn't killed a chicken before. How could she stand such a bloody scene? Hearing Makoto and Chuju's screams, Wu Yan's face was expressionless. He once again swung his sword at the big wolf demon that lost an arm and howled in pain. Although he knew that the 2 girls behind him were definitely not calm, but to care for them he had to wait until the battle was over. Otherwise, if he was careless and got hit, then it would be other people's turn to care for him. The sword cut a huge wound on the big wolf demon's body. Blood splashed out again and the big wolf demon howled in pain again. A pair of wolf eyes stared at Wu Yan. Blood vessels began to fill the wolf demon's eyes. The big wolf demon angrily roared, opened its mouth and bit towards Wu Yan's head. The distance between Wu Yan and the big wolf demon was less than 2 meters. Therefore, the big wolf demon's mouth quickly reached Wu Yan's face. In this moment of crisis, Wu Yan quickly lowered his head and avoided the big wolf demon's sharp teeth. Although the big wolf demon's attack was very sudden, Wu Yan had more than one encounter with wolves when he was in the behemoth forest. Their special characteristic is that the bigger the injury, the crazier they get. Even if he didn't know what kind of attack the wolf demon would use, Wu Yan was already prepared, so he should be able to deal with it. Lowering his head to avoid the big wolf demon's mouth, Wu Yan crouched under the big wolf demon's body, twisted his body and turned in the air. Aiming at the big wolf demon's neck, Wu Yan raised his sword up. The long sword pierced the big wolf demon's skin, the big wolf demon's neck, and the sword blade came out from the back of the big wolf demon's neck. Time at this moment stopped. I won. Hinajuku shouted in surprise as if she had won. She was no longer afraid of monsters or blood. Just like that, she cheered on the spot and laughed happily. Not bad at all. Mikoto clicked her tongue. Wu Yan and the big wolf demon's fight didn't intimidate someone of her level, but it's still something else. After all, the Mikoto of the past only fought with electric shock, electric shock, electric shock, electric shock. If not, she would just use her railgun to finish off her opponent. However, Wu Yan's fighting style may not be on her level, but he is fighting in a different style. When it comes to technique, Mikoto would resort to trickery and use a bit of iron sand to attack. Thus, this battle made Mikoto realize that fighting can be done this way. Mikoto's level may be high, but she might not even be able to defeat Fei Fei, who is 8 levels lower than her. Fei Fei came from the cruel world of Silveria, while Mikoto's strength was developed step by step through the use of technology. Fei Fei's combat experience was much higher than Mikoto's by a notch. Fei Fei's combat experience was much higher than Mikoto's. From this, it could be seen that Mikoto was still very malleable. She still had a lot of room for growth. Once she experienced a real battle, maybe her level wouldn't increase by a lot, but her strength would definitely undergo an earth-shattering change. Wu Yan kicked the big wolf demon's body and pulled out his sword. Because the wolf demon was under him, when it died it fell on top of Wu Yan. Wu Yan can only brace himself to prevent the blood from staining his clothes. After pulling out the sword, Wu Yan handed over the big wolf demon's body to the system. Because there are no magic crystals, there are no ability points, only some item points. But it's better than nothing. Seeing the wolf demon's body disappear, Mikoto and Chuju's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise, but they quickly recovered. With the system, anything can happen, not to mention it's just a body disappearing, and it's not like Wu Yan disappeared. Are you okay? Sizing up Wu Yan, Chuju said as if nothing happened. She had already forgotten about the bloody scene. Mikoto was in a similar state. If it was a human, she might feel a little uncomfortable, but for this kind girl, even the most heinous crimes are forgivable. Otherwise, in the original work, when she saw her sister being tortured to death by Accelerator, she wouldn't have subconsciously diverted the railgun away from the opponent's vitals. Isn't that the embodiment of her kindness? But this time it's not a human, it's a group of demons and ghosts. Although it's inevitable that she would be frightened when she saw the blood, compared to a human, the impact on her was not as great. This also made Wu Yan sigh. With this personality, if she were to meet a real enemy, she might get herself killed. But this is the real Sis Canon. Wu Yan will not be dissatisfied. After all, Sis Canon's enemy will be his enemy in the future. If she doesn't dare to take care of it, I'll take care of it. You wait for me to be a little stronger. It's okay. Wu Yan smiled and swung his Kanagi no Tsurugi sword to get rid of the blood on it. Seeing that the two girls didn't change their expressions, Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh in relief. If they can't even handle this situation, what will happen next? But it's okay. Just as Mikoto was about to say something, suddenly, Wu Yan and Mikoto both jumped in front of Chuju with a serious expression. What's wrong? Not knowing why the two suddenly did this, Chuju pulled on Mikoto's clothes and asked curiously. Wu Yan and Mikoto looked at each other and smiled bitterly. We're in big trouble. Suddenly, one after another, gigantic shadows appeared and streaked across the sky above the trio's heads. From afar, they could see a bunch of invisible figures moving towards them, leaving a trail of dust in their wake. Judging by their numbers, it seems like they're not small in number. What's going on? Looking at the crisscrossing shadows above, Chuju's eyes were a little dazed. These shadows are exactly the same as the ones left behind by the big wolf demon. Holding his Kanagi no Tsurugi sword, Wu Yan tensed up and forced a smile. It seems like we've entered a demon's lair. Mikoto rolled her eyes at Wu Yan and refuted. You're wrong, we came here to enter the demon's lair from the beginning. That's true. Wu Yan paused and then smiled bitterly. The shadows passed by, bringing along a gust of wind. The dust got closer and closer, causing the ground to shake. The three of them had different expressions on their faces as they looked at this scene. Finally, it's close. The dust settled, the shadows disappeared, and the enemy appeared, roaring. On Chuju's face there was a smile, there was no fear or despair. In her eyes, Wu Yan's figure was reflected. Mikoto's body emitted a huge electric current. The current was stronger than any time before. Beep beep beep, sounds rang out continuously. Her bangs fluttered under the influence of the electric current. Her brown eyes stared straight ahead without fear. Fiercely waving the Kanagi no Tsurugi sword in his hand, the blade shone brightly and drew an arc in the air. Wu Yan held the sword with one hand. All of his expressions disappeared at this moment. His heart was as calm as an ancient well. The more dangerous the situation, the calmer he had to be. For victory, for survival, and for the girls behind him and beside him, in front of them, there were demons of different sizes, different appearances, different strengths, and different voices. Every pair of eyes had a bloodthirsty glint. Their mouths were constantly opening and closing. The roars reverberated in the air without any pattern. That number, there are hundreds. Thousands of them? Or tens of thousands? Wu Yan, Mikoto, and Chuju didn't know because the figures behind them were completely blocked by the figures in front. That terrifying formation is enough to scare any coward out of their wits. Chuju, Mikoto, are you scared? Wu Yan suddenly said to Chuju behind him and Mikoto beside him. The two girls were stunned for a moment, then they laughed at the same time. Cherry blossoms appeared out of thin air around Chuju and gathered in Chuju's hand, slowly forming into a crystal katana. Chuju held the white cherry blossoms and smiled, a beautiful smile. It's really strange. I should be very scared, but why don't I feel scared at all now? The sand rolled, small black particles flew out from the rock layer and gathered in the air around Mikoto, forming a wave of iron sand. Mikoto stood in the middle and smiled, her smile was full of heroic spirit. Who do you think I am? I'm number 3, Super Railgun. Listening to the two girls, Wu Yan shook his head, his face was full of helplessness, but in his heart, there was a surge of warmth. Wu Yan took a step back under the doubtful eyes of Mikoto and Chuju. He pointed in the air a few times. Then 2 bottles of medicine and a few beans appeared in Wu Yan's hand. He shoved the 2 bottles into the hands of the 2 girls. Chuju, Mikoto, 1 bottle for each of you and drink it. Holding the bottle in their hands, Hinajuku and Mikoto couldn't help but stare blankly at the golden liquid in their hands. What's this thing? This thing is called Resplendent Breath. It's a life-saving item. Just 1 bottle and your body will be in an invulnerable state for 3 hours, so hurry up and drink it. Invulnerable for 3 hours. The 2 girls looked at the bottle in shock. Isn't this invulnerable in disguise? Daisy, on the other hand, noticed another problem. Well, drink it. What about you, Yan? Why aren't you drinking it? Chuju's eyes kept darting around Wu Yan's body, but she couldn't find a 3rd bottle of medicine on Wu Yan's body. At this moment, Chuju was anxious. Wu Yan couldn't help but smile bitterly. Resplendent Breath costs 100,000 item points per bottle. All my item points are only slightly more than 260,000. I don't even have enough item points to exchange for a 3rd bottle of Resplendent Breath. How can that be? Then what are you going to do? Hearing Wu Yan's words, Chuju was even more anxious. Before Chuju could object, Wu Yan stopped her. All right, hurry up and drink it, they're about to attack. Seeing that the demon army was about to attack, Wu Yan quickly shouted. At the same time, he quickly came in front of the 2 girls and raised the sword in his hand. Yan, you should be the one drinking this medicine. As long as you don't die, I can revive even if I die. Mikoto was starting to panic now that only Wu Yan wasn't safe. How could she be at ease? Wu Yan smiled. He didn't turn his head, but his firm voice rang clearly in the 2 girls' ears. Mikoto, although it's more appropriate for me to drink it, Mikoto, you have to know that other than being your summoner, I'm also a man. As a man, how can I not protect a woman from the wind and rain? Chapter 37. As a man, how can I not protect a woman from the wind and rain? His firm and serious words echoed in Mikoto's ears. Mikoto stared blankly at Wu Yan, who had his back facing her. Her grip on the potion bottle tightened unconsciously. Yen. Chuji's voice sounded like she was about to cry. Chuji's heart was heavy with regret. If she didn't insist on following him, she wouldn't have wasted a bottle of life-saving potion. If I hurt Yen because of this, then don't worry, Chuju. Although he didn't see Chuju's face, Wu Yan didn't know why, but he felt like he could hear Chuju's heart. Although I don't have the resplendent breath, I have another life-saving item. It's called Senzabine. No matter how heavy the injury, as long as I'm not dead, I can recover in an instant. So don't worry about me. Wu Yan said with a smile as he tossed the green beans in his hand. These Senzabines weren't cheap. 10,000 item points for one bean. Wu Yan exchanged for 6 of them in one go. Adding on the 100,000 item points for a bottle of resplendent breath, Wu Yan had spent a total of 260,000 of his 268,000 item points. The remaining 8,000 was exchanged for the wolf demon's body. Also, I still have a lot of things to tell you, a lot of things to do with you. So I won't die like this. Chuju stared at Wu Yan. She opened the bottle and poured the golden liquid into her mouth. Wiping her lips, Chuju said, Yan, if you dare lie to me, you're dead meat. Wu Yan couldn't help but smile bitterly. Can you not talk about death at this time? Yan, are you really not going to drink it? Now is not the time to let your emotions affect your decisions. Mikoto lowered her head and said in a weak voice. Although she said that, she didn't have much hope. Even though she's only known Wu Yan for a day, Mikoto already has a certain understanding of Wu Yan. Not only because of the information given to her by the system, but also because of the short time they've spent together. Based on his personality, he might not be lying. Now was not the time to lie. Hurry up, Mikoto, they're coming. Wu Yan ignored Mikoto's words and shouted at her. At the same time, the huge army of demons finally lost their patience. With deafening roars, demons of various sizes immediately charged over. Like a swarm of locusts passing through, the demons left huge marks on the ground as they charged. Gravel flew all over the sky as dust was swept up. The ground shook violently as though it was a volcanic eruption. Looking at this terrifying scene, Wu Yan and the other two's hearts couldn't help but tremble. Their hearts started to beat faster. However, this didn't mean that Wu Yan and the rest were afraid. The situation was on the verge of eruption. Mikoto didn't have the chance to persuade them. Gritting her teeth, Mikoto pulled open the bottle cap and poured it down her throat as if it could vent her anger. Then she shouted, Listen, if you die and drag me down, then I'll be your slave in my next life. Wu Yan shouted. Holding his sword with both hands, he stomped his foot and his body quickly flew out. At the same time, the iron sand around Mikoto started to roll faster. Under Mikoto's control, it turned into iron sand whips and flew towards the demons. Chuju took a deep breath, raised her white cherry and followed behind Wu Yan towards the army of demons. Cutting an oncoming level 20 rat demon in half, Wu Yan ignored the blood splattering on his body. His eyes emitted a deadly cold light as he swung his Kusanagi sword. One demon after another fell under Wu Yan's body. As Wu Yan pushed forward, corpses were everywhere. Demons' corpses were thrown all over the ground like sacks. Blood was like water, forming a bloody path on the ground. Demons from all directions surrounded Wu Yan, trying to surround him. Wu Yan jumped, the Kusanagi sword in his hand glowing. Wu Yan looked at his surroundings and spun. Chaotic returned to Horizon Dance. The arc-shaped blade formed a circle. As Wu Yan spun, it spread to the surrounding. The demons that surrounded him collided with the circle. They were either cut in half or shredded into pieces. Some were even crushed into powder. Hinajuku pierced a demon's heart with her white cherry blossom, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Hinajuku suppressed her trembling body and the fear in her heart, biting her lips so hard that she didn't even know when her lips were bitten open. Chuju knew that she was very weak. Any one of these demons was stronger than her. If it was before, she would have died under the claws of the demons. However, due to the protection of resplendent breath, whenever a demon attacked her, an invisible wave would bounce out from the attacked area and nullify the demon's attack. Relying on her invincibility, Hinajuku risked her life to slay any demon that failed to attack her. Over time, Chuju gave up on defense and focused on attacking. If she couldn't defeat a powerful demon, she would immediately give up and change her target. As for the weaker ones, they would be killed by her. In a short period of time, the number of demons that died under Chuju's hands was at least a few dozen. They're not humans, they're just demons. They're not humans, they're just demons. Mikoto kept repeating this sentence. She controlled the iron sand whip to kill the demons that attacked her. Every time blood splashed, Mikoto's face would turn a shade paler. At this point, Mikoto's face was as white as paper. The iron sand whip danced in the air. Every time it danced, a demon would fall. Mikoto didn't charge forward like Wu Yan and Chuju. She just stood there and used her abilities. But not only did she kill the most demons, she was also the strongest. Mikoto knew that Wu Yan was only level 30. In this group of demons, at least half of them were level 30 and above. Without the protection of resplendent breath, Wu Yan might not even have the time to eat senzu beans if he ran into a few more level 30 demons. Not to mention Chuju was only level 18. Even though she drank resplendent breath, that didn't stop Mikoto from wanting to help them. And so, Mikoto controlled her iron sand whip and circled all the level 30 and above demons. Even though she couldn't use the system to exchange items like Wu Yan, she could use the system's detection function. She could clearly see who was level 30 and who wasn't. Putting aside whether or not she missed anything, 90% of the demons were taken by Mikoto. It was because of Mikoto that Wu Yan could charge forward and kill the demons so easily. Two kind-hearted girls, for themselves and their companions, were suppressing their fear of blood and slaughter. They were swinging their blades and killing the demons. After using chaotic return to Horizon Waltz again and sending a bunch of demons to the afterlife, Wu Yan freed up his hands and swallowed a senzu bean with great difficulty to restore his body to full health. The battle had been going on for quite some time. Mikoto and Chuju had resplendent breath protecting them, so Wu Yan didn't have to worry about them. That was why Wu Yan put all his focus on killing the demons. His clothes were already dyed in all sorts of colors. There were red, black, green, blue and everything else. This was the blood of the demons he killed. Every single one of them. Of course, part of it was his own blood. Wu Yan, who had been using the system's detection function since the beginning, naturally knew that Mikoto had taken care of most of the level 30 demons. That was why he was able to fight until now. He couldn't help but consume a senzu bean due to his exhaustion and injuries. Mikoto may have blocked most of the level 30 Yaomao, but the ones Wu Yan is facing are at least level 20. Facing so many level 20 Yaomao, even Mikoto has to rely on resplendent breath to protect herself. After all, a quantitative change can lead to a qualitative change. Once the numbers reach a certain point, even a level 86 would have a hard time dealing with them, let alone a level 68. Even though the demons weren't strong enough to threaten a level 86, they could still threaten a level 68. If Mikoto wanted to run, she could definitely do so. However, it was impossible for her to leave Wu Yan and Chuju behind. Wu Yan remembered everything that Mikoto had done and continued to wield his Kusanagi sword to kill the demons. Gradually, as time passed, the number of demons dwindled. Wu Yan's senzu beans dwindled as well. Until now there was only one left. The pain in his body and the exhaustion in his mind kept telling Wu Yan to fall. Wu Yan used all his strength to kill the incoming demons. However, he couldn't care less about the demons that were attacking him from behind. His back, chest, thighs, arms, face, there wasn't a single spot on Wu Yan's body that wasn't injured. However, there was only one senzu bean left. Therefore, Wu Yan really didn't want to use it until the very last moment. Because if he used it, it would mean that he was at the end of his rope. Against such a large number of enemies, if he didn't exchange for the super strong equipment, then the effect would be similar to the Kusanagi sword. However, he didn't have enough equipment points to exchange for the super strong equipment. As for the ability, what should he exchange for? A group attack. He already had the chaotic return to Horizon Dance. There was no need to exchange for a single target. That was even more unnecessary. As for the ability to turn the situation around, he had the same problem. He didn't have enough points. As for the character summon, he could summon it with 11,000 points. However, how strong could the character summon be? Even Mikoto had to rely on the resplendent breath. Otherwise, she would have a few scars on her body, let alone the others. Just as Wu Yan was about to use the last senzu bean, a wide net of electricity came from afar and turned the demons behind Wu Yan into charcoal. As the electricity disappeared, a crystal sword appeared beside Wu Yan and cut down the demons that were about to pounce on Wu Yan. Wu Yan raised his head and looked at the two figures in front of him in a daze. The one standing on the left was a pink-haired girl with a crystal sword in her hand. The one standing on the right was a tea-haired girl with blue electric arcs flowing all over her body and making crackling noises. Although he could only see the side of their faces, Wu Yan could clearly see the fear of unknown creatures and bloodshed in their eyes. Even with this emotion, the two girls stood there unwaveringly and killed the demons that attacked them. A smile appeared on his bloodied face. After swallowing the senzu bean, Wu Yan stood up and walked to the two girls to fight side by side. Chapter 38. 3 hours. That's the duration of resplendent breath. At this time, almost an hour had already passed. The two valiant-looking girls have lost their protection for almost an hour now. Their clothes are riddled with holes and their faces are stained with blood. It's unavoidable that there are some wounds on their bodies. Even Mikoto has some minor injuries under the continuous barrage of attacks. Fortunately, the stronger demons were the focus of the trio at the beginning. What's even more fortunate was that there weren't any demons above level 40. At most, there were 10 level 40 demons, and these 10 level 40 demons were killed by Mikoto at the beginning of the battle. So when the effect of resplendent breath ends, there aren't many level 30 demons left in the huge demon army. If it wasn't for Mikoto having to protect Chuju, these little demons wouldn't have been able to do any damage to her. Wu Yan, on the other hand, is very thankful. After using up all the senzu beans, Wu Yan has completely lost his protection. If it wasn't for Mikoto killing most of the demons and giving him a lot of EXP which allowed him to level up and recover to full health, Wu Yan might have really lost his life here. A completely unfair battle after 4 hours of uninterrupted fighting came to an end just like that. When the last demon was electrocuted by Mikoto's taser gun, Wu Yan, Mikoto, and Chuju were still panting while maintaining their attacking posture. They stood there motionless as they stared blankly at the ground full of demon corpses. After who knows how long, they finally recovered from their daze. Mikoto and Chuju looked around at their surroundings. Looking at the ground full of broken limbs and blood, they squatted on the ground and vomited non-stop. Wu Yan's face is abnormally pale. Even if it's him, when he saw the hellish scene, he couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. It's like there's a bunch of worms crawling around inside his heart. Suppressing the urge to vomit, he quickly patted the two girls on the back in an attempt to make them feel better. Yen. Chuju's eyes were filled with tears. Her face was as pale as Wu Yan's. For some reason, Chuju felt cold all over and wanted to seek some warmth. After feeling Wu Yan's presence, Chuju immediately squeezed into Wu Yan's embrace and hugged Wu Yan tightly. She didn't even dare to raise her head. It's okay, it's all in the past. Feeling Chuju's body trembling, Wu Yan hugged her and patted her back to comfort her. Suddenly Wu Yan felt his clothes tighten. When he turned to look, Mikoto was also trembling. Her face was pale as she looked at him. She looked like a little girl who was afraid of her mother leaving the house. Her expression was indescribably desolate. After being stunned for a moment, Wu Yan immediately reached out and pulled her into his embrace. He hugged her tightly to comfort the two girls and himself. Before this, these two girls were just ordinary students. Even Wu Yan, who lived in the behemoth forest, couldn't help but tremble when he saw this scene, let alone these two girls. Not to mention they were the ones who caused this scene. When they were fighting, they didn't have the time to think about it. Now that the battle is over, the two kind-hearted girls almost collapsed when they thought about how their hands were stained with blood. On the spacious field, in the middle of countless corpses, a boy and two girls are hugging each other. It's a very sad scene. After half a day, Wu Yan felt the two girls in his embrace calm down. He looked down and saw two sleeping faces covered in blood. At this moment, Wu Yan was confused. Is this my fault? If it wasn't for me, this wouldn't have happened. I casually barged into their lives, changed their lives, stained their hands with blood. This is all my fault. Meeting them, summoning them, is this the right thing to do? Shaking his head, Wu Yan buried this question deep in his heart. He placed the two girls on the ground and looked at the monster corpses. If it weren't for resplendent breath and senzu bean, the three of them would have suffered casualties. Just Hinajiku alone, Wu Yan doesn't have the confidence to protect her from such a large army. Maybe even Mikoto can only protect herself. From this, it can be seen how important item points are. For this battle, Wu Yan used up almost all of his item points. If something else were to happen, he would be in big trouble. Fortunately, the corpses of monsters could also be turned into organic materials and handed over to the system in exchange for item points. Even the level 30 big wolf monster could be exchanged for 8,000 item points. How many item points could this floor of corpses be exchanged for? There were hundreds of level 30 little monsters and 10 level 40 little monsters. The rest were all level 20 little monsters. Even if there were not thousands of them, there were definitely more than level 30 little monsters. Thinking about the large amount of item points he'll get, Wu Yan's pale face turned red. What a practical guy. Wu Yan waved his hand and the hundreds of meters of corpses disappeared. Wu Yan turned them over to the system. Ding. Obtained 8322000 item points. 8 million item points. Awesome. Looking at the large amount of item points, Wu Yan's face finally showed a smile. If it wasn't for the fact that he just went through a slaughter and his mood was a little heavy, Wu Yan would be jumping for joy. 8322000 item points plus the 8,000 item points he had on him made up for a total of 8330000 item points. The item points he squandered were all recovered in an instant. In fact, they were multiplied by more than 10 times. From this huge amount of item points, one could see the scale of the monster army just now. One had to know that a level 30 big wolf demon only cost 8,000 item points. If it wasn't for the fact that Wu Yan didn't have to turn them over one by one, Wu Yan's hands would probably go soft from exchanging item points. The scene became spacious again and all the corpses disappeared. It was as if nothing had happened. If it wasn't for the blood on the ground telling others that there was a cruel battle here. Wu Yan carried the two girls to the wall and let them lean against it. Then he kissed Chuju's forehead. After hesitating, he kissed Mikoto's forehead before standing up. Looking at the clothes on his body in disgust, he tore off the red and green clothes on his body and threw them to the side. He didn't even leave the pants behind as he tossed them away. Wu Yan frowned. Although he threw away his clothes, there were still bloodstains on his body. Some of his wounds were still bleeding. During the battle he didn't feel anything, but now Wu Yan only felt pain accompanied by the smell of blood. Opening the system list, he used 9,000 item points to exchange for 3,000 item points for 3 bottles of quick healing potion. Wu Yan immediately drank one of them. After waiting for a while, the wounds on his body slowly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Moreover, the healing speed was getting faster and faster. In the end, all the wounds disappeared. Seeing this, Wu Yan smiled. Then he fed the other 2 bottles of quick healing potion to Mikoto and Chuju. Thinking for a bit, Wu Yan walked to the side and exchanged for a gemstone that glowed with water. Portable hot spring. Normally in the form of a gem. If thrown on the ground, it will quickly expand into a 5-meter hot spring. Can be recycled at any time. Has automatic water purification function. 20,000 item points. Satisfied with the gem in his hand, Wu Yan threw it on the ground. Like a stone falling into water, the gem melted into the ground, and a circle of ripples appeared on the ground. When the ripples expanded to 5 meters wide, the ripples turned into a circle, and inside the circle the ground disappeared, turning into a hot spring that was emitting steam. Wu Yan's eyes flashed with a strange color. How magical! After doing all this, Wu Yan chuckled and looked at the 2 girls who were still sleeping. Suddenly, the smile on his face widened a bit. Wu Yan walked to the 2 girls with small steps. He nodded and said seriously, "Mikoto, Chuju, look, you're covered in blood. You must feel uncomfortable like me. It's okay, leave it to me. I'll definitely wash you clean, okay?" After muttering to himself to Mikoto and Chuju, Wu Yan immediately said, "Why aren't you answering? Are you shy? It's okay, I understand. Since you're not answering, I'll take it as a yes." As if it's true, Wu Yan smiled. His smile was very sly. Then he reached out his evil hands and slowly took off the 2 girls' clothes. His mouth kept muttering. If you look closely, you'll see that he's saying, "I won't be polite anymore." Poor Mikoto and Chuju. They just experienced a cruel psychological impact. Before they could wake up, they were already stripped naked by a certain wolf. After taking off all their clothes, the pure white body that appeared in front of him almost blinded his wolf eyes. He stared at the bodies of the 2 girls, and after a few fierce glances he stood up, picked up Hinajiku and walked to the edge of the hot spring. With a splash he walked in. His wolf claws kept touching Chuju's body. Wu Yan's face had a beep smile. His heart was very happy. When his hand reached Chuju's chest, Wu Yan sighed regretfully. Still needs to be developed. After groping around for a bit, he reluctantly put down the 2 meat buns and moved to another location to continue the siege. A certain part of his body is already so shamefully hard that it can't be helped. Looking at the delicate body in his arms, then looking at Chuju's tightly shut eyes, Wu Yan sighed again and carried her to the shore. Who told me to be a pure person? I never take advantage of people when they're in danger. This is the thought of a certain wolf who stripped and touched a sleeping girl. After changing into a set of clean clothes and putting it on Chuju, Wu Yan put Chuju back in her original position. Then he carried the naked Mikoto and walked into the hot spring. Her body was not much different from Chuju's, but Wu Yan really enjoyed it. After cleaning off the blood on Mikoto's body, Wu Yan didn't stop. He continued with a new round of oil collecting battle. After touching the girl's body from head to toe, Wu Yan started to regret. He realized that he shouldn't have taken advantage of these 2 girls. It's not that he found his conscience or anything, but as he washed, Wu Yan started to feel uncomfortable. But these 2 proud girls, he absolutely couldn't take advantage of them. Taking advantage of them is fine, but if he ate them in their sleep, would Wu Yan die a horrible death? Even a child could guess the answer. After changing into another set of clothes and helping Mikoto put it on, he dived into the water with a plop. Lying in the hot spring, Wu Yan couldn't help but cry. Why not cold water? Chapter 39. When Wu Yan's hand touched a certain part of the hot spring, it quickly shrunk and turned back into a gem, lying quietly in Wu Yan's hand. Tossing the portable hot spring into the he ring, Wu Yan sat down on the spot. He picked up a few random rocks and gathered them together. Then he took out a black circle from the he ring. Wu Yan placed the circle on the stones. Wu Yan fiddled with the circle for some unknown reason. When Wu Yan was done fiddling with the circle, a fire suddenly lit up from the center of the circle. Wu Yan ignored all of this. He took out a few bottles and jars from the space ring and put them aside. Then he took out a few pieces of meat and a metal handle. He put the metal handle on the meat and put it on the fire to roast. From time to time he would pick up the bottles and jars beside him and sprinkle them on the meat. Wu Yan roasted the meat in an orderly manner as he opened the system's status option. Character: Wu Yan. Abilities: Swordsmanship Expert, Cooking Expert, Complete Memory, Chaotic Return to Horizon Dance Equipment, Kusanagi Sword, Rank D. Summon: Misaka Mikoto. Equipment Points: 51,000 Item Points, 83,000,000 Ability Points, 81,000 Summoning Points, 11,000 Level, 45. When he saw his own level, Wu Yan couldn't help but be stunned. Then he felt relieved. Wu Yan is a bit surprised to see that he has gained 15 levels in such a short time. But after thinking about it, it's not that strange. That terrifying monster army was completely wiped out by the 3 of them. With such a terrifying amount of monsters, there were even 10 level 40 monsters and a few hundred level 30+ monsters. It's reasonable that they could level up to this level. What's more, monsters above level 20 came in heaps. This could be seen from the 83,000,000 item points that Wu Yan had left after purchasing the portable hot spring, quick healing potions and clothes. Although level 20 little monsters could not provide Wu Yan with much EXP, and some of them were killed by Chuju, the number was still terrifying. Chuju was only level 18. How many little monsters could she kill? Therefore they couldn't handle the large quantity. Now that he thought about it, even though he had the cheat that allowed him to level up through battle, after killing so many monsters he only leveled up by 1 rank according to the Spalier World's calculation system. What a disgrace to the transmigrators. Mikoto's status didn't change much under Wu Yan's status, but character: Misaka Mikoto. Ability: Electroshock User, LV5, Strength, C Endurance, C Agility, B Spirit, A Equipment. None. Level 69. Compared to his previous status, there wasn't much change. He only leveled up by 1. But this 1 level was not easy to level up. After all, Mikoto couldn't be compared to himself. Among the little monster army, there were a lot of monsters that were higher level than him when he was still level 30. Their EXP to Wu Yan was like fighting above his level. Of course he gained a lot of EXP, that's why he leveled up so many times. However, there wasn't a single monster that was higher level than Mikoto. The highest level monster was only level 40. Compared to Mikoto, it was much weaker. The amount of EXP Mikoto gained was very little. Even so, the amount of EXP Mikoto gained was still enough to pull him up a level. It wasn't easy. Wu Yan closed the system and began to ponder. Now that I'm level 45, I'm equivalent to a medium tier 5 warrior. It's about time for me to upgrade my equipment and abilities. And a sound woke Wu Yan from his thoughts. Wu Yan turned his head and couldn't help but smile. Her eyelids fluttered a few times before she opened her eyes. She covered her mouth with her hand and yawned. Only then did she wake up completely. When she woke up, the first thing she saw was Wu Yan grinning at her while roasting some unknown meat in front of a bonfire that she didn't know when he started. You're awake. Wu Yan waved at Mikoto with his empty hand. His other hand was still twirling the metal handle in his hand. It seems that distracting his attention won't affect his cooking. Mikoto was shocked. She quickly got up and looked around. When she saw that the corpses on the ground had disappeared, she let out a sigh of relief. If she really had to sleep next to a corpse, even if it wasn't a human corpse, she wouldn't be able to bear it. Every time she thought of that bloody scene, Mikoto quickly shook her head. Even though she's feeling a lot better now, she still felt a bit uneasy in her heart. Wu Yan, who was watching Mikoto from start to finish, couldn't help but sigh. Of course he knew that Mikoto still hasn't completely accepted the fact that her hands were stained with blood. Even if she was prepared. Rolling his eyes, Wu Yan suddenly laughed out of the blue. He laughed out of the blue. Hearing Wu Yan's strange laughter, Mikoto frowned. She didn't know why, but she suddenly felt a wave of unhappiness. Even her other emotions were completely suppressed by this unhappiness. Why are you laughing so hard? Mikoto glared at Wu Yan. Nope. Wu Yan stopped laughing, but he didn't stop smiling. That hippopotamus face of his only made Mikoto even more annoyed. Beep 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 beep. A burst of electric sound started, indicating that the owner is very unhappy and the consequences are very serious. Wu Yan's expression stiffened. He timidly glanced at the electric current on Mikoto's body. In the end, he steeled his heart and looked at Mikoto without moving his eyes. His expression changed again into an expression of reminiscence. Wu Yan's wretched expression finally made Mikoto realize that something was wrong. She looked at herself and instantly her eyes widened. Her eyes were blank and her mouth was wide open. She didn't even release the electric current. Snow-white short-sleeved shirt and an ordinary gray skirt. It was a very ordinary and simple outfit. But it was this outfit that made Mikoto's expression look like she's seen a ghost. My clothes were changed. Mikoto now understood what happened. But it wasn't her who changed the clothes and Chuju was still sleeping. So there's only one answer. Why? Mikoto's face was blank. She turned to Wu Yan and her mouth opened and closed. As for why she asked why, it's just that she didn't want to face reality. After seeing the effect he wanted, Wu Yan's smile became even more brilliant. What why? Her hands slowly pressed on her body like a machine. Mikoto crossed her arms and said blankly, My clothes. Wu Yan stretched out his hand and waved his finger in front of his face. Is there even a need to say it? It's covered in blood. Of course it had to be changed. Beep. The electric arcs that were jumping around restlessly showed that Mikoto's heart wasn't calm at all. She forced a smile on her face and asked, Then who was it that changed my clothes? Did you change it when Hinajuku woke up? Mikoto's hopeful eyes stared at him, making him feel a lot of pressure. He's already regretting using such a method to distract Mikoto's attention. Wu Yan stopped smiling. After taking a deep breath, he said confidently, How is that possible? In this world only I'm so considerate. So be grateful to me. Mikoto's face became hotter and hotter. At an unimaginable speed, the temperature on her face broke through the limit. Finally, with a bang, a cloud of smoke came out from her head. Her mind went blank. Mikoto's head started shaking uncontrollably from left to right, up and down. Wasn't this reaction a little too exaggerated? Wu Yan's mouth twitched as he watched Mikoto's eyes turn into circles. Her face was red as she shook her head. She's so pure. While Wu Yan was feeling proud, Mikoto suddenly stopped. She lowered her head with a gloomy expression. Beep beep beep. A blue light suddenly burst out. Electric arcs crazily flashed on Mikoto's body. With a wicked smile, Mikoto looked at Wu Yan. A chill ran from Wu Yan's spine to his head. Wu Yan's body couldn't help but shiver. Looking at Mikoto, who slowly stood up like a thunder god, a big drop of cold sweat slid down Wu Yan's head. Revealing a smile uglier than crying, Wu Yan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. "Oh, calm down. Mikoto, calm down." A devilish voice came out from Mikoto's mouth. "What last wish do you have? Tell me. Although I don't know if I'll remember it, but if one day I happen to remember it, I'll consider fulfilling it for you." Ha 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 ha. Wu Yan laughed dryly at Mikoto. "Don't joke around, Mikoto. You see, I'm doing this for your own good. You're a girl, you should be clean. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal." Mikoto's voice rose a little, but it didn't make Wu Yan happy. Instead, it made him feel even more despair. "So that's how it is. To you it's not a big deal." "If that's the case." Blushing, Mikoto glared at Wu Yan and shouted, "No need for last words, you, Mikoto. If I die, you'll die too." Wu Yan let out his last cry. "Die. Beep beep beep." Ah. As soon as Hinajuku woke up, she was startled by the terrible sound, thinking it was a demon attacking. She jumped up and summoned Sakura in her hand, looking ahead vigilantly. When she saw the situation clearly, her vigilant expression froze. Mikoto's face was blood red, smoke was coming out of her head from time to time. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and stared fiercely at the mess on the ground. On the ground, Wu Yan was lying there. Unlike Mikoto's red face, his face was black and so was his body. Smoke was coming out of his mouth and he kept spitting it out. "What's going on?" Chuju looked at the crime scene in shock. She couldn't react at all. Mikoto looked at Chuju, who was still in shock. Tears welled up in her eyes, she covered her face and lowered her head. How was she supposed to say this? Scratching her head in confusion, Chuju looked at Mikoto, who was blushing to the point that smoke was coming out of her face. She felt a little strange, but she couldn't figure out what was so strange about it. Rolling her eyes helplessly, Chuju walked towards the two. But as soon as she took a step, Chuju froze. Why did she feel a little cold down there? Reaching out her hand, Chuju froze. She could feel that the underwear she was wearing was different from before. The edge of the underwear that reached her legs was slanted, and it was quite slanted. Her underwear was gone. Combined with Mikoto's performance and Wu Yan's pitiful state, coupled with her slightly fresh body and wet hair, as well as the fact that she's wearing the same outfit as Mikoto's, a bad idea formed in her mind. Chuju's face started to turn red. Looking at Mikoto, Chuju whispered, "Mikoto, could it be that our clothes and the blood on our bodies are?" Hearing Chuju's voice, Mikoto didn't put down her hand. Instead, she opened her fingers, revealing two watery eyes. Looking at Wu Yan on the ground, she wanted to cry, but no tears came out. She nodded her head. After Mikoto nodded, Chuju's face turned even redder than her hair. Her heart was burning with anger. She strode in front of Wu Yan and gave him a vicious slap. Slap. Chapter 40. It's probably night time. As for why I added, probably, it needs to be explained. Because in the cave, Wu Yan and the other two couldn't accurately judge the time, and they couldn't bring their phones with them. So I added probably. It's still the same fire, the same barbecued meat, and Wu Yan is still roasting it. The only difference is that this time, Wu Yan has a red palm print on his left cheek, and his skin is a bit darker. The two girls are now awake, sitting next to the fire. Their faces are red and they're glaring at Wu Yan. After roasting the meat, Wu Yan lifted the meat in his hand and handed it to Mikoto and Chuju. "Take it." Ouch. Halfway through, Wu Yan felt the red palm print on his face burning with pain. His mouth twitching, Wu Yan wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Even though he knew that the two girls would teach him a lesson when they wake up, he didn't expect the lesson to be so deep. It can only be said that the lack of awareness before transmigrating killed him. Because in Wu Yan's subconscious mind, even if he saw the two girls naked, they can't do anything to him, right? Could it be that he could be so ruthless? Unfortunately, he had already forgotten that this is no longer the harmonious society that he once lived in. The girls from the 2D world are not the kind of people who would show mercy to others. But Wu Yan can be proud that he saw the two girls naked. Mikoto glared at Wu Yan fiercely before taking the barbecued meat from Wu Yan's hand. Wu Yan laughed foolishly and handed it to Chuju. She snatched it, snorted, and threw it to the back of his head. Clapping his hands in dissatisfaction, Wu Yan mumbled, "What, it's not like I haven't seen it before." Blushing again, Chuju immediately turned her head, gritted her teeth and glared at Wu Yan. He wanted to eat him alive. Shrinking his head, Wu Yan quickly raised his hands, indicating that he surrendered. When Chuju no longer wanted to look at him, Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. At the same time, he was even more determined in his heart. Next time he would definitely summon a soft girl. At the same time, Mikoto, who was sitting there chewing on a piece of barbecued meat, couldn't help but look at the meat in her hand with surprise. This is a little too delicious. The eyes of a certain super electromagnetic gun who had never eaten Wu Yan's dishes immediately lit up. She chewed even faster. As for the previous uncoordinated feeling, it was thrown to the back of her mind. As for why there was a feeling of disharmony, it was very simple. It was because the super electromagnetic gun's underwear, which was the safety pants, had been thrown away by Wu Yan just like Chuju. Although the fact that they like to wear safety pants is their cute point, compared to the cute underwear, this point can be discarded. Moreover, Mikoto and Chuju already have a lot of cute points on them. Chuju's situation was similar to Mikoto's. Although she had already tried Wu Yan's dishes, she still couldn't stop herself from eating them every time. Who told these two girls to not get fat no matter how much they eat? Let them be. Helplessly shaking his head, Wu Yan finished the barbecued meat in a few bites. After filling his stomach, Wu Yan opened the system list and clicked on the equipment option. As of now, Wu Yan is already level 45, which is the 5th step of the Spalier world. Although the Kusanagi sword has only accompanied him for 4 months, it's time to change it. The current Kusanagi sword can no longer keep up with Wu Yan's needs. If Wu Yan's idea was heard by the warriors in the Spalier world, they would definitely spit at him to death. One must know that common armaments are the dream equipment of warriors and mages below the 7th step. Armaments are extremely precious in the Spalier world. Even the lowest common armaments can only be worn by warriors or mages with good conditions. There are 2 reasons for good conditions: one is family background and the other is strength. Having a good family background is easy to understand. If you have a good father and your father is very rich, he will naturally prepare a common armament for you. Of course, it has to be a big family. Even if it's not at the level of a lorry family, it has to be at least a big family in the area. Having good strength is even easier to understand. With strength, do you have to be afraid of not having enough money? Go into the giant beasts forest and hunt high-level demonic beasts for 10 days to half a month. The money you can get from that would be enough to buy a mass armament. As for how strong you need to be, it's not much different from Wu Yan's current strength, around tier 5. A tier 5 warrior or magician would only be able to equip a common armament at this point in time. Yet Wu Yan thinks that common armaments can't keep up with his needs? How can those warriors and mages below the 5th step who don't have a good family background and who still have iron armaments endure this? Well, with the system, this heaven-defying thing, Wu Yan can be considered to have a good family background, so he can't be counted. And now Wu Yan wants to change his equipment. Naturally, he won't be interested in common armaments anymore. What he wants to change is a C-rank equipment, which is a rare armament. In the Spalier world, rare armaments can only be worn by those above the 7th step. Also, only those with good family background can have one, such as Fei Fei. Of course, people like Lulu are the real good family background. She is only at the 4th step and she already has a rare armament. But she is the only daughter of the first family of the Ailu Empire, one of the 3 big empires. If you compare yourself to her, you will only be angered to death. Some of the poorer 7th step warriors and mages may not even have a rare armament. This is the main reason why Wu Yan didn't exchange for a rare armament in the Spalier world, even though he had enough equipment points. In the Spalier world, robbing people and robbing the rich to help the poor is not illegal. But now it's different. Even though he is only at the 5th step and can't compare to a 7th step, he has Mikoto who is at the peak of the 7th step. What is there to be afraid of? As for those 8th and 8th step warriors and mages, if they don't have a rare armament, they will be looked down upon by others. As for the ninth step, there is no need to worry. They will also look down on you with 1 or 2 rare armaments. At this level, who doesn't have a family background? Ninth step warriors use gold armaments. Moreover, the ninth step is a rare existence. Wu Yan doesn't even know if he can meet one. Even if Wu Yan heard about it, he only heard from Fei Fei that the previous head of her family, which is Lulu's grandfather, was a ninth step warrior. The number 1 family in an empire only has 1 tier 9 fighter. Even though he doesn't know how many tier 9 fighters there are in Silveria, there are less than 5 tier 10 demigods in Silveria. How many tier 9 fighters could there be in Silveria that are a tier lower than a tier 9 fighter? So now is the time to exchange for a rare armament. Even Lulu, that half-natural girl, has a rare armament. If he doesn't have one, wouldn't that be embarrassing? Under the watchful eyes of the 2 girls who are munching on their food, Wu Yan flipped through his system inventory and started looking for equipment. D-tier equipment is automatically ignored since he doesn't need them anymore. He's mainly looking for C-tier equipment. As for B-tier equipment, he's embarrassingly short on funds. With Kendo Mastery and Chaotic Return to Horizon Dance, Wu Yan naturally looked for sword-type equipment. Katanas like the Kusanagi sword are also included. After looking for a few times, Wu Yan's eyes lit up and stared at one of the equipment. Shana of the Nippon Den. C grade from the Blazing Eyes Shana. The Blazing Eyes Crusader Shana's Noble Phantasm points. 20,000 equipment points. This is it. Not for anything else, just because it is Shana's weapon, that is. Wu Yan tapped on the list and a simple katana and a scabbard appeared in his hand. A mysterious aura surrounded the sword, attracting the attention of Mikoto and Chuju. The hilt of the sword was black, but the end of the hilt was golden. The black guard was a square with 4 corners missing, and the middle was empty, connecting the hilt and the blade. The blade was bright silver, and in terms of color, it was much brighter than the Kusanagi no Tsurugi sword. As for the scabbard in Wu Yan's other hand, it is completely black. Wu Yan nodded with satisfaction. Wu Yan is quite familiar with this katana that can be turned into a sword or a sword. The blade is relatively small, so it is easy to control. Although it is not easy to hit, it is light and convenient. Tightening his grip on the sword, he swung it with all his might. The bright silver blade flashed with white light in the air. He waved it around a bit before sheathing it back into its scabbard. Did you get a new weapon? Chuju curiously looked at Wu Yan's katana. After all, she is also a good swordsman, so she is quite fond of this kind of sword. Well, after today's battle, my strength has increased a lot, so it is inevitable to exchange for a more powerful weapon. Wu Yan said to Chuju after putting the katana into the interspatial ring. Mikoto nodded and said, "Then you don't want to exchange for some defensive equipment?" Wu Yan was surprised. After thinking for a while, he opened the system list and looked at it. Mikoto's words are not without reason. In today's battle against the army of monsters, if he had a decent defensive equipment, he would have saved a lot of effort. He could also extend the use of Senzabin so he would not have to risk his life. Of course, Wu Yan does not like to wear armor. Not only is it heavy, it is also not in line with his concept. So Wu Yan looked at the system list with a nonchalant attitude. But then again, he really did find a suitable one. Mental Dragon Armor, rank C, formless, weightless, exists in the form of a concept. When the wearer is attacked, a formless dragon-shaped armor will burst out. Completely immune to attacks below level 50, weakens attacks below level 60. Equipment points, 30,000. Wu Yan was delighted. Formless, weightless, good. Now I don't have to carry a piece of armor everywhere and I don't have to worry about its weight. Wu Yan immediately took it off. A ray of light shot out from the system list and shot into Wu Yan's forehead. At the same time, Wu Yan felt a floating dragon-shaped armor in his mind. It is the mental dragon armor. It usually stays here. Only when Wu Yan is attacked will it appear and block the damage for Wu Yan. After exchanging for 2 rank C equipment, Wu Yan only has 1,000 points left. Wu Yan's mood is very good. Only a little bit of regret. Wu Yan said with regret, "Mikoto, if only I still have some equipment points. I'll help you exchange for 1 too." Mikoto waved her hand casually. "No need. I don't need any equipment. Esper power is enough." "That won't do." Wu Yan said with dissatisfaction. "What if we go to the Spalier world and meet the real strong?" Chuju raised her head when she heard this. Yan, are you guys going to leave this world? Wu Yan and Mikoto both choked on their saliva. Wu Yan looked at Chuju with annoyance. What do you mean we're going to leave this world? We're not dead yet. You know that's not what I mean. Chuju shouted excitedly. Wu Yan smiled and looked at Chuju. He half-jokingly said, "Don't worry. When we get there I'll summon you. Of course when that time comes, our lives will be fused together. If I die you won't be able to live." Hearing this, Hinagiku finally smiled happily. "Then let me protect you." Wu Yan blanked out for a bit before he became speechless. Is this a declaration to raise a gigolo? Please give me an explosion votes. Rewards. Click. Collection. Comment. Urgent 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 urgent. LT/AGT. LTHT. LT/AGT. Chapter 41. Night. Mikoto and Chuju were already asleep. Although the two girls had slept for quite some time, their mental exhaustion still hadn't fully recovered. After all, the two girls were only 14 or 15 years old. They had just gone through a cruel slaughter. Even with Wu Yan's antics, it wasn't easy for them to relax. Wu Yan sat alone beside the fire. He was in charge of keeping watch. No one knew if there would be another demon attack in the middle of the night when everyone was asleep. Even if it wasn't on the same scale as before, he couldn't be careless. Thus, as a man, Wu Yan consciously accepted the task of keeping watch. It's definitely going to be boring, but looking at the sleeping posture of the two cute things, it's not like he can't get through it. Wu Yan is an otaku. Staying up late is a common occurrence. This place was very wide. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to accommodate such a terrifying demon army. However, the only real passage, other than the slide that Wu Yan's group slid down, was the passage directly opposite of Wu Yan. Of course, Wu Yan wouldn't let his guard down in other places. The heavenly jade should be right in front of him, Wu Yan thought to himself as he looked at the seemingly endless passageway. As long as he obtained the heavenly jade and exchanged it for the other half of the mysterious crystal from the Heron Palace, he and Mikoto would leave this world. At that time he would summon Chuju over. This world wouldn't have much to do with Wu Yan anymore. Although before he transmigrated, Wu Yan was also very fond of Butler Whirlwind's world. However, that didn't mean that Wu Yan would be satisfied. He still remembered the familiar dungeons on the system's list. Those were all his dreams. Now that he had the chance to realize them, how could Wu Yan be satisfied if he didn't go through all of these places? Perhaps Wu Yan would bring Chuju back in the future. However, it was impossible for him to stop here. Butler Whirlwind was just the first stop. Your so-called night watch is just standing here in a daze. Just as Wu Yan's thoughts were about to drift away, a voice saved him. When Wu Yan looked up, Sis Cannon was looking down at him with dissatisfaction. Aren't you asleep? Why are you up? Wu Yan scratched his head awkwardly. He had indeed been distracted just now. He hadn't even noticed that Sis Cannon had gotten up and approached him. He had neglected his duty. Yeah, I suddenly woke up. Maybe it's because I couldn't sleep anymore. Maybe it's because I just slept. Mikoto said casually as she sat across from Wu Yan. Well, that's right. She's more like Sis Cannon when she's full of energy, Wu Yan said without any hesitation. Mikoto glared at Wu Yan. What do you mean? Are you saying that I don't look like a girl? Also, what's up with Sis Cannon? Are you making fun of me? Chuckling dryly, Wu Yan reached out his finger and pressed it against his cheek. Don't be angry, girl. I'll give you a smile. Don't act cute in front of me. Disgusting. Mikoto resisted the urge to punch Wu Yan's face. If Chuju wasn't still asleep, she would have flirted with him. Smiling at Mikoto, Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Mikoto had fully recovered. He was afraid that Mikoto would be stubborn because of this. Luckily, it seemed that the sacrifice from before wasn't in vain. Hey, don't change the topic. What's up with Sis Cannon? Seeing Wu Yan laughing like an idiot, Mikoto was unhappy again. Wu Yan calling her Sis Cannon felt like an insult to her. Mama. Scratching his face, Wu Yan said, Mikoto, aren't you a super railgun? Calling you Sis Cannon is a form of respect. Mikoto stared straight at Wu Yan's face. Why do I feel like that's not the case? Don't mind the details. Those who care about details are all 9. How can I not mind? Mikoto retorted loudly. Why are you calling me sis? You're much older than me, you uncle. Uncle. Faced with Sis Cannon who evolved a venomous tongue, Wu Yan felt like he was struck by lightning. He was completely stunned. I'm only 20 years old. I'm not an uncle. You half lowly. Wu Yan screamed in his heart. But if he really screamed, he wouldn't be far from death. This made Wu Yan feel extremely aggrieved. Seeing Wu Yan's expression, Mikoto smiled and looked at the bonfire in front of her. Gradually she lost her focus. Wu Yan, who recovered at an unknown time, for some reason he couldn't help but want to talk to her when he saw her like this. What's wrong? Are you homesick? Wu Yan asked softly. Mikoto nodded blankly and then shook her head. This made Wu Yan confused. Perhaps Mikoto sensed Wu Yan's confusion. She glanced at him and said, Actually, I'm not homesick. Although I'm not dissatisfied with my previous life, living in Academy City feels a little normal. Every day I go to school, leave school, play video games. Maybe it was because of her life fusion with Wu Yan or because she had no one to talk to. Mikoto felt like she had to get it off her chest. And in this world there are a lot of exciting things. There are exorcists and monsters. When she mentioned monsters, Mikoto's expression was a little unnatural. She was probably thinking about the previous battle. But soon Mikoto continued, But now, I miss Academy City. I miss Mom and Dad and I miss my junior. Although that junior is a little abnormal. Looks like Mikoto was harmed by that Yuri girl Shiroi Kuriko. So you're saying that you're conflicted. You want to go home but you also want to stay here and look for excitement. Wu Yan said bluntly. At the same time he sighed in his heart. As expected of Sis Cannon, she loved excitement. No wonder she went to flirt with those delinquents every day. Although it's similar to what you said, why do I feel uncomfortable hearing it from you? With your temper, the only time you feel comfortable is when you electrocute people. Wu Yan mumbled softly. What did you say? Nothing. Wu Yan shook his head after being glared at by Mikoto. Mikoto pouted unhappily and turned her head away. Out of sight, out of mind. Was life in Academy City normal? Wu Yan sighed in his heart. He didn't know how to tell Mikoto about that. About the Misaka sisters. The system already said that if the character Wu Yan summons didn't enter the world of that character, then the character he summons will be the same as the character from the day before the start of the storyline. Although he didn't know if the day before the storyline began was the time in the Super Railgun or the time in the Forbidden World, Mikoto didn't know about the existence of the Misaka sisters. It could be seen from the original novel that this kind-hearted girl regarded the Misaka sisters as important. Otherwise, she would not be willing to sacrifice her life for the sake of ending the superpower project. But now Mikoto was summoned by him. Even if the time in the Forbidden World was still frozen, Misaka's sister had already been born. How many of the Misaka sisters died on the day before the storyline began? Even Wu Yan didn't know. If Mikoto knew about this, she'd be worried sick. This girl who blamed Misaka's sister's fate on herself. But if he didn't tell her, then it would be even more cruel. After all, the Misaka sisters were Mikoto's sisters. How should he put it? Wu Yan's face started to change. After some hesitation, Wu Yan said in a low voice, Mikoto. She turned around and looked at Wu Yan. Seeing his hesitant face, Mikoto was confused. What? Sighing, he looked at her with a straight face and said in a serious tone. What if Academy City isn't as beautiful as you think it is? What would you do? Not as beautiful as I imagined it to be? Mikoto's face froze when she heard Wu Yan's what if. As a LVL5, she had extraordinary computing power. Her IQ was definitely higher than Wu Yan's. Now that Wu Yan said something like, what if? Mikoto didn't believe him. Mikoto frowned. Yan, don't you know something? Don't try to brush me off. Before Wu Yan could answer, Mikoto stopped him. I know. As my summoner with such a magical system, you must know a lot of things. Otherwise, you wouldn't summon someone you don't know for no reason. You must know me very well. That's why you summon me, right? Wu Yan flinched for a bit before replying. That's not necessarily true. At the time, I wanted someone to protect Hinajiku. That's why I chose to summon a character. That wasn't a lie. No matter how much Wu Yan liked 2D characters, Wu Yan summoned someone to protect Chuju. Of course, liking Sis Cannon was also a part of the reason. Mikoto didn't believe Wu Yan at all. She said, if you had told me this reason before, I might have believed you. But after this period of time, Yen, I realized that every word and every action you took with me was targeted. I don't believe that you can understand a newly summoned character to this extent. Or maybe it's the system that sent me your information. Just like how you had my information back then. Mikoto laughed at Wu Yan's words. She said, after your explanation, I'm even more certain that you already knew a lot about me before you summoned me. Wu Yan looked at Mikoto blankly. He couldn't help but laugh bitterly. You're trying to trick me, tell me, Yen. Mikoto widened her tea-colored eyes and said sternly, why did you say that Academy City isn't that great? Wu Yen felt a headache coming on. Under Mikoto's watchful gaze, he fell silent for a moment before he slowly spilled the beans. About the clones, the Misaka sisters, Accelerator, and the Aptitude Project. As Wu Yen spoke, Mikoto's face turned green. Her eyes were filled with anger. When Wu Yen talked about the Aptitude Project, Mikoto's face turned pale. When Wu Yen finished, Mikoto lowered her head. Oh, my fault. Mikoto looked up at the ceiling. Her eyes were empty. I knew it would be like this. Wu Yen stood up abruptly and walked to Mikoto's side. Then he pulled her into his arms. Mikoto was shocked and quickly regained her senses. She wanted to struggle, but Wu Yan's voice slowly entered her ears. Mikoto couldn't help but stop. There's nothing wrong with being kind, Mikoto. You have to face reality. Don't worry, right now the time in your world has stopped. The sisters will be fine for the time being. Once we become strong enough to defeat Accelerator, we'll go back and save them. Mikoto fell silent after hearing Wu Yan's words. Until a certain moment when he felt the person in his arms nod, Wu Yan smiled. Chapter 42. Holding a piece of meat that Wu Yan just roasted, Chuju slowly chewed on it while looking at Wu Yan and Mikoto strangely. Her heart was full of doubts. Ever since she woke up, Chuju felt that the atmosphere between the two was a little different. Chuju didn't see anything wrong with Wu Yan's words. When it's time to roast meat, he'll roast meat. When he speaks, he's still so casual. But Mikoto's behavior is really strange. Every time Wu Yan looks at Mikoto, it wouldn't take more than 2 seconds for Mikoto to turn her head away, not daring to look at Wu Yan. Whenever Wu Yan turns his head away to do something else, Mikoto would sneak a peek at him, and in less than 2 seconds, she would shake her head like crazy and look away. Although she said she looked away, it didn't take long for her to look at Wu Yan again. Then she looked away and looked at him again. She didn't get tired of repeating the same thing. Such unnatural behavior made Chuju feel like a kitten was scratching her heart. She couldn't wait to ask what happened. After everyone finished eating, Wu Yan pointed at the fire ring and the fire suddenly disappeared. Wu Yan picked up the fire ring and threw it into his space ring. Then he turned to the two girls. Alright, let's go. There shouldn't be many monsters left in this place. After all, the number of monsters we killed yesterday wasn't small. Wu Yan's words reminded Mikoto and Chuju of the monsters that piled up into a mountain. Both of them nodded solemnly. Seeing the two girls' reaction, Wu Yan's expression didn't change, but he was actually very happy. If the two girls didn't get used to it, then it would be really bad for the next battle. There's only one passage here. Wu Yan pointed at the wide road in front of them. So we can only go forward. Let's go quickly find that jade of the Heavenly Palace and then leave this damned place. Mikoto said with a little excitement. Not only because they could leave this place after finding the jade of the Heavenly Palace, but more importantly, there must be demons and ghosts ahead. And demons and ghosts meant experience. After Wu Yan's explanation and consolation, Mikoto looked like she didn't care about Misaka's sister anymore. But in reality, she had already taken this matter to heart. Even though Wu Yan had said that his world was still in a frozen state, that time had stopped, and that nothing would happen to his sisters, Mikoto was still worried. She only wanted to become stronger as soon as possible, to become stronger than Accelerator. That way she would be able to save her sisters. Of course, being anxious is unavoidable. Wu Yan is already very satisfied. Compared to the original work where Mikoto looked helpless and hopeless, the current Mikoto's performance is undoubtedly much better. Part of the reason was because time had stopped. Another part was because it wasn't as hopeless as the original. In the original work, Mikoto wanted to save her sister, but she couldn't. Even though Makoto was the third and Accelerator was the first, it didn't seem like a big difference, but it was actually wrong. The difference between them was like heaven and earth. In the original, Makoto had a simple fight with Accelerator in order to save one of the Misaka sisters. But under Accelerator's overpowered strength, Makoto lost miserably in his hands. Plus, there were people from the council behind the scenes. Because of this, Makoto wanted to use the method of suicide to save her sisters. But now it's different. Makoto, who couldn't beat Accelerator before, has become Wu Yan's summon. As long as there are enough battles, Makoto will continue to grow stronger until she surpasses Accelerator. As for the Misaka sisters, after Makoto pushed him away with a red face last night, Wu Yan spent the whole night explaining the inside story to her, including the real purpose of the Misaka sisters being used, Alistair's plan, and the support of the council. This made Makoto feel a bit dejected. Becoming the enemy of the entire Academy City, the place you've been living in all your life, it's unbearable. Of course, Makoto has already prepared herself. Even in the original she had this kind of determination, let alone now. But this also made Makoto understand that as long as she can defeat Accelerator, at least for a short period of time, the sisters will be fine. Alistair won't let anything go wrong with his plan, this much is certain. As for what to do after defeating Accelerator, Wu Yan assured her that the system will find a way to deal with it. Makoto was relieved. Without a doubt, compared to the original Makoto who fought to the end by herself, the current Makoto has someone whose life is intertwined with hers as her shield. She has someone she can absolutely trust to help her. She's undoubtedly much happier. But still, it's good to be strong. Under Makoto's impatient urging, the three once again embarked on their journey to find the heavenly jade. The environment is the same as before, there are rocks and walls everywhere, there isn't even a drop of water. The three walked on a path that could easily become boring to the eyes, but the vigilance in their hearts didn't decrease at all. Compared to when they first came in, the current Makoto and Chuju have undoubtedly changed a lot. Yesterday's events are still deeply engraved in their hearts. That kind of battle where it's either you die or I live has toughened up their hearts a lot. But there's still one thing they're not used to. Looking at how careful Makoto and Chuju are walking with their legs clamped together, Wu Yan was speechless. Wearing safety pants all year round, now that they've taken it off, their behavior has changed so much. What should he say about them? Makoto and Chuju are gnashing their teeth in anger. The two of them, who are usually carefree, decided to wear safety pants because they don't want to worry about anything. Occasionally they would have to take care of their skirts. For tomboyish girls like them who exercise a lot, it's too tiring. So, they've gotten used to wearing safety pants. Now that they suddenly changed, it's really awkward. Plus, they have to guard against the wolf behind them. The two girls knew that once they accidentally exposed themselves, the shameless wolf behind them would definitely continue to admire them openly. However, once the battle started, this kind of thing was unavoidable. There was nothing they could do but swallow their grievances. If Wu Yan knows what they're thinking, he'll definitely laugh and say, "I've seen everything on your body. Do I still need to pay attention to your underwear?" What Makoto and Chuju don't know is that their bodyguard is currently lying quietly in Wu Yan's interspatial ring. What is shameless? This is shameless. Look, there's light in front. Chuju raised her white cherry and pointed at the road ahead. There's a faint light, it looks like an exit. Wu Yan's face tensed up. He quickly stood in front of Makoto and Chuju and said to them, "I don't know what's going on in front. Everyone be careful, we can't rule out the possibility that there's a demon in front." Makoto and Chuju nodded solemnly. They've already mentally prepared themselves after yesterday's battle. Makoto even secretly calculated the calculation formula of her superpower in her mind. She's prepared to use her superpower at any time to prepare for battle. After all, Wu Yan is the leader here, but she's the strongest. After passing through the tunnel, Wu Yan, Makoto, and Chuju immediately saw a bright light in front of them. Then a circular plaza appeared in front of them. Compared to the previous plaza, this place is much wider. It doesn't look like it was man-made. On the surrounding walls there are holes of different sizes. The holes aren't deep. Even from the bottom of the plaza, Wu Yan and the other two can clearly see the bottom of the hole. No matter how you look at it, it looks like a beehive. In front of Wu Yan and the other two, there's a hole that's a lot bigger than the other holes. In front of the hole there's a wide dragon throne. Although it's made of stone, it looks quite domineering. At this point Mikoto's face darkened. Wu Yan and Hinajiku couldn't help but flinch. What's wrong? Mikoto. Chuju walked to Mikoto's side and said. Mikoto frowned. She pointed at the dragon throne and said, "That's a dragon throne, isn't it? Isn't it obvious?" Wu Yan rolled his eyes. "Anyone can see that it's a dragon throne." Receiving Wu Yan's eye roll, Mikoto immediately glared back. "So stupid, anyone can sit on a dragon throne. Isn't it just an emperor?" Wu Yan suddenly shook. He kind of understood Mikoto's meaning. "You're saying?" Chuju's mouth is wide open, looking at the tall dragon throne. She's speechless. Looks like she also kind of understood. "That's right." Mikoto looked at Wu Yan and Chuju. "Here there are only a few small holes. We can see the bottom of the holes, including the one behind the dragon throne. This means that there's no other way. This is the innermost place." After saying that, Mikoto's face tensed up. Since this is the innermost place, then where did the demon army come from? Pointing at the holes, Mikoto said, "There's only one answer. Those holes are the demon's nest and they're..." Moving her finger to the hole behind the dragon throne, Mikoto smiled and said, "It's the king of these demons. The nest they're living in." Boom. Following Mikoto's words, the ground suddenly shook violently. The domineering cis cannon immediately revealed her true form. Her body tilted and fell into Wu Yan's arms. Red clouds floated onto Mikoto's face. Chuju on the side also fell into Wu Yan's arms from the sudden tremors. Wu Yan didn't refuse. He directly hugged the two girls and used the method of deflecting the force to stabilize his body. The ground started to crack. Rocks rolled everywhere in the tremors. Some even rolled towards Wu Yan's direction. Wu Yan was shocked. He quickly carried the two girls and jumped, dodging the rolling rocks one after another. When he couldn't dodge, he stepped on the rolling rocks and used the momentum to fly. The tremors became more and more violent. Just when Wu Yan was worried that the cave would collapse, a tree vine suddenly shot out from the cracked ground and arrived in front of Wu Yan like a gust of wind, whipping onto Wu Yan, who couldn't react in time. At this moment, a wave of energy came from Wu Yan's mind. It passed through his mind and spread to Wu Yan's body. Just when the tree vine was about to hit Wu Yan, the wave suddenly changed into an invisible dragon armor, blocking the tree vine's attack. With a muffled sound, the attack of the tree vines was blocked by the dragon-shaped armor. When the attack was blocked, the dragon-shaped armor flickered for a moment before disappearing. Only then did Wu Yan react. He quickly stepped on the tree vine, somersaulted in the air and landed on the ground, a drop of cold sweat dripping down his forehead. If it wasn't for the mental dragon armor, he would have been seriously injured just now. Failing its attack, the tree vine retreated, but more tree vines started to shoot out from the ground. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of tree vines shot out. A giant tree rose from the center of the tree vines. There was a face on the tree trunk. It was gaping at Wu Yan and the girls. This is a tree demon? Or a tentacle monster? You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.